Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Citizen Brewery here in Tychy, Poland. My name is Mitch Leslie, and it is my distinct pleasure to welcome you all back to the Wargaming.net EU Season 3 Finals, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a huge day, come on! They only need a little bit of coaxing for that. Fantastic. Yes, obviously already Friday was a huge day with some incredible Tanks games. In fact, we saw a bunch of 5-game, 6-game matches with some resets earlier on in the day. And then a few teams started to pull ahead. We saw some upsets and we definitely saw some expected results. But from start to finish, it was an explosive day of gaming. Now, obviously, we are starting to get to the pointy end of things, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we are going to see, of course, our two top seeds, Virtus Pro and Team Dignitas, come out of the mix to show us what they've got, as well, of course, as DeNova and Lemming Train going to be going up against them to see if they can topple the Giants. But without letting me go on too much, let's go back and have a look at Friday and the day that was.
Okay guys, welcome to Tychy. This is 2014, the Season 3 Finals. We've got 6 amazing teams here and this is day number 1. We have been making one of the most awesome events. The ESL have done an incredible job. If you are not here, the live stream is going to be awesome and the crowd is absolutely amazing right now. Welcome.
We will have top 1 at this season, so we are going to finals already, and we wait for our opponents from playoff. European team all is differently, different style, different tactics, so every team can be good and can win.
Yeah, so we finally managed to beat Evil Panda Squad 3-0, taking our revenge after last event that we met them, that we lost 3-0. It was a hard match, it was very long games and we had lots of draws, but finally we've come to an end.
Lemming Train played very good games and we made too much mistakes. We had problem with communication, but we still fighting, Pandas fighting, and we try to play our best games.
This match was really nice, I really liked it. It was totally a struggle with Team Kaznekaru. I'm sure that they showed their best in this match and they played, in my opinion, better than their online part. We did some stupid mistakes on 2 of the maps, Ruinberg and Ensk, that's why we lost them, but we managed to stay calm and just play how we trained all the other maps, and our prepared strategies helped us to win this match.
Well, what happened, we were playing against a really good opponent. Game could have gone either way. It took a very long time. There was some delays with lags. So couple of mistakes, personal mistakes, tactical mistakes, basically decided. It could have easily gone our way, but it didn't.
So great game, 2 great games. One which we will be thinking in hotel how to repair our mistakes, what to do, what to change, and then we'll be facing the Dignitas tomorrow. And I hope it will be a really good work for us, and we can win with them and revenge for DreamHack semi-final.
Day number 1 is over. It's been an epic day. Some amazing teams have played some amazing games. Evil Panda Squad sadly had a bit of trouble and have fallen by the wayside. but the Lemming Train and DeNova absolutely demolishing their way through. DeNova really just looking like a team on fire right now. I'm not sure if anyone's going to be able to take them out tomorrow, and tomorrow is going to be the #1 day, so I can't wait. I'm sure you can't. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yes, and what a day it was yesterday. Unfortunately, we did see the Evil Panda squad and Kazna crew, should I say, have to back out of the competition. But they're still here today. They'll still be cheering on their mates in the teams, and we'll maybe be able to catch up with them a little bit later. And of course, as Simon did say earlier on, we still have one hometown hero team. Of course, the Lemming Train is still rolling on, and we'll be able to see them play a little bit later on today. So while we're talking about it, let's have a look back at yesterday and see the brackets and see how it all played out, because there was a lot of action that we did see. That's what we're going to see today. So that's probably that's a preview there. That's what we have to come. But of course, yesterday, if you think back, we did see in the early stages, you know, Kazna crew, we came out fairly strong. The Evil Panda squad, though, were definitely playing, you know, fairly passively, and it was fairly tough for them to really break in, and they really, I guess, weren't overly powerful at any stage throughout the day. However, DeNova and Lemming Train were still strong. There it is right there. So you can see Lemming Train with a 3-0 over Evil Panda squad. They did go down to DeNova in what is safe to say was a bit of an upset there. They really didn't put up much of a fight. However, once they hit the losers bracket, Carmon and his boys really fired up, and we saw Carmon chewing on a bit of some food there. It must have really fired him up, because, as you know, when Carmon fires, Lemming Train fires as well. So we saw the Evil Panda squad really going down 0-3-0-3, so definitely a fairly subdued day for them. Kazna crew, though, putting up a fight against DeNova, but unfortunately falling short to Lemming Train after a great game against Evil Panda squad. So that's a good look back for you, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're going to get straight into things here, and we already saw them yesterday with some fantastic games, but let's go and see what DeNova have been up to before this tournament and how they're feeling about today.
We prepared some special things and some surprises for opponents, so yeah, we have some special things.
There is many good teams on this event, really strong teams, especially Dignitas and Virtus Pro, but they are all beatable, so I think we can do it. We can win this tournament.
Talking about the relations in team, I think we are indeed a team now. We are friendly to each other. We spend a lot of time just chatting and discussing some our interests, hobbies and other stuff.
I think we are prepared enough to beat any team on this offline event, and we will see who will win.
Of course, both leaders of current season, Virtus Pro and Dignitas, has proved that they are really strong and hard to beat. But everyone is beatable, and everything depends on how the team feels the very moment the game is in, when the game is in process.
Everyone is beatable, they say. Let's see if that holds true, ladies and gentlemen. Join me in welcoming DeNova Gaming back to the stage. Eventually. Ronnie, huge day yesterday. It's safe to say you guys will be obviously very happy with things yesterday. I had you up here a few times, and every time you were saying how happy you were and how the boys really dug in and got it done. Today, it's maybe a little bit of a different flavour to things because you are going up, of course, against Virtus Pro in this first game. You said everyone is beatable. What does it take, do you think, in terms of your mindset to topple these big teams? What do you need to make that happen?
I think the main thing is to stay calm and do what you've trained for and what you prepared.
So we have noticed that you guys, especially DeNova, you don't yell all the time. You're not always jumping out of your seat. You're very calm and collected. And do you think, obviously there's passion versus concentration. Do you think that really helps you out, especially yesterday?
There is place for passion too, but after the match is over. So we jump and scream of joy after that, but when we in the match, we should stay calm and focused. That's the main thing.
And definitely the game of tanks as well is the kind of game you can't afford to make those small mistakes, especially on an individual level. So good words there as well, and I'm sure people will be watching out for your reactions after the game. So hopefully they're good ones. Ronnie, thank you very much for joining me. Take your seat with the rest of the gentlemen. Ronnie from Team DeNova, ladies and gentlemen. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this might be the time you've been waiting for, the Russian juggernaut. That's right, we saw them at Gamescom for the Season 2 finals, and they were stunning. Let's see what they've been up to before this event.
It feels really great, and on the other hand, I feel a lot of pressure because it will be tough competition to win. But if we win, it will be great.
I think we prepared because we have boot camp, 5 days without transportation. It's payment by our sponsor and organization.
Relations in the team, yes. Everyone is a friend of everyone. We have, as I think, a lot of teams. We have a troll. We have 2 trolls in our team, but they are just making some funny things in our team to maintain our good relations.
How do I feel about winning so much money? It will be great. But on the other hand, I feel a lot of pressure because it will be tough competition to win.
Yes, we have rituals, a few words with all teams, something special for us.
Yes, Virtus Pro, probably one of the few groups of people that could wear orange and still have me take them seriously. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Virtus Pro! All right, I'm joined here on stage by Bishop from Virtus Pro. Now, when I spoke to your team at Gamescom as well, you guys were definitely prepared. This thing is a big deal and you take it seriously, and of course you should. Tell me, what kind of preparation have you guys put in for this event?
Of course, we take this event very seriously, so we had prepared a lot. We had a boot camp for a week, so we hope we'll perform well.
So tell me now, you guys were here yesterday and you got a chance to look at the competition and see what you were going to be up against potentially today. Was there anything that surprised you guys, or did it pretty much go as you expected?
Of course, we were yesterday here. We were watching our opponents closely because we'd like to be prepared. And DeNova played really good games. And we saw a couple new setups, new strategies. So I hope we made some, I don't know.
Just some, like
some decisions, and we are better prepared now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for joining me. Bishop, go and take your seats. Well, There's no doubt that Virtus Pro are going to be out for blood, but we do expect DeNova to put up a stoic fight, just like they have been already. Well, it's getting to that time of morning, and some of your favourite times. We're going to pass over to our casters desk now. I actually only have nice things to say about them this morning because they indulged me while I ran around and jumped and whooped with joy in the snow before, because I've never seen it before. But ladies and gentlemen, let's hand it over, of course, to Pansy and Laughter.
Well, that was a dire round of applause. Thanks, guys. I know it's early, but come on. But yes, obviously we are pretty excited today. We finally get to see Virtus Pro sitting down at the desks. I think it's what we've all really been waiting for. And obviously Dignitas not too far away either. Two of the very biggest teams within this whole league. Running up the season, they've had a fantastic run, and DeNova certainly showing their worth yesterday, finally waking up after not necessarily a shaky start, but not the smoothest of starts, really. And then they kind of ended up looking like the DeNova we know and love towards the later side of the gaze. And how are you feeling about this game right now? Because Virtus Pro, we haven't seen them yet. We know they've been boot camping. We saw them in the online season, and they were incredible. It's hard to deny someone who only loses 4 games out of an incredible amount of them. But how do you think they're going to play here, especially up against DeNova, who's kind of found their footing now?
Yeah, well, Virtus Pro have had that boot camp, so they've been playing together for a while. And DeNova seemed to struggle to find their feet yesterday, but with the roster changes they have, it's hardly surprising. But when they did find that stride, 3-0 Lemming Train is something quite incredible, since they did actually finish 3rd. So yeah, DeNova looking really, really strong today. I think this is going to be a great fight. They've always struggled against Virtus Pro on the online stage, but it doesn't make that much of a difference when it comes here and when everything matters. So I think we're going to up for some great games. I can't really predict the winner, because what we saw from DeNova against Lemming Train yesterday was inspirational. It
certainly was, but then I think we have to look back to the start of their games as well. Can they kind of, once again, rekindle what they found at the end of play day 1 almost towards today? That's the biggest thing here. And obviously, we can look towards their rating. Their creativity, their accuracy, the kind of damage that they can deal within a split second is phenomenal. But then, as is Virtus Pros. Now, we've always kind of had a lot of not favoritism, but we've always really liked DeNova. They are very much at the heels of the big teams. Tell me through kind of quickly why we gave them the creativity and accuracy kind of bonus compared to maybe the decision-making and the fight coordination.
They have great players. They have absolutely great players. That's why they have the accuracy. They have the real superstar team. Decision-making, perhaps more to do with communication than anything, because they are, they haven't been together that long, so decision-making is always a hard thing. So, yeah, I think those are the reasons, the creativity's there as well. They were the first team to pick the 4-1-6. So, generally, a well-put-together team.
Yeah, and I think we are actually ready for those map picks. So we saw a bit of an interesting trend yesterday. We didn't see much of Abby. We saw a lot of steps being removed. I think we even saw steps once. So kind of curious to see if the bands are going to follow that trend today as well. Virtus Pro, a new kind of team to this, and we are seeing the same stuff. Steps already taken out, really not favoured this time around.
It's not been picked a single time. We haven't seen steps once. Maybe more to do with the fact that it's actually changed, so the teams haven't really had chance to adapt. So yeah, Abby, perhaps not so surprising, a map that people don't seem to be enjoying these days. Personally, I'm not surprised. It is almost impossible to play and predict, and quite often just add, they just have that firefight over towards the mountainside instead of actually using the whole map. So first map will be mine. Well, last map will be mine. Not surprising again. It is one of those maps which falls out of favour. Actually, the least popular map in the online stages.
But they are kind of putting it there as a decider if necessary. But we know Virtus Pro is so strong on that. I'm always surprised that they kind of put these maps to that point, maybe hoping it doesn't get that far from either side. But map number 4 coming up, it's been a lot of kind of maybe Ruinbergs or something along those lines. But what sort of maps do you think will favour the likes of Virtus Pro here? Because we haven't seen them. DeNova obviously have their strengths here, but what do you think are going to be their main kind of focuses towards their pickups here?
Well, Himmelsdorf has always been a kind of testing ground for most teams, and Virtus Pro, I would have said, very, very good team on that map. DeNova seemed to have struggled a little bit yesterday, but then if Virtus Pro do one of their crazy rushes in Himmelsdorf, they could also be struggling. So Prokhorovka will be our 4th map. Kind of a logical choice, I guess. You have a kind of an open map to finish things off with, a 3-1 scoreline. So Ensk, our 3rd map there. So the city maps now are piling in, and we have Ruinberg and Himmelsdorf left. So
and Ruinberg's been most of our kind of starting map, hasn't it? It's been one where you don't give away too much playing it, because you can either go for that head-on, or you can go maybe what Virtus Pro like to do, go into that village, and no one's kind of seen the new hand that you may be trying out, because DeNova, as the interview with Virtus Pro was kind of noted, they're trying out different things here. So maybe Virtus Pro want to keep a couple of tricks up their sleeve. Don't want to give away everything, and it kind of tells within the maps. Prokhorovka is very much dependent on the way teams are playing it, and we've got Runeberg as second actually, not the first map, so that's a bit of a change. But
a big change. It's been Himmelsdorf as the second map every single time. Runeberg now being switched out. So Himmelsdorf, Runeberg, Ensk, Prokhorovka, Mines. We've got those 3 city maps first, and then we see how the teams perform on open maps. City maps really coming into dominance. I would have thought, Prokhorovka would feature somewhere in there. DeNova, remember yesterday against Lemmingtrain, they had that as the 3rd map. So I think for them, they just like to have that real grounding. They like to have the city maps where things are slightly more predictable. I'm really looking forward to Himmelsdorf personally, because it's a map where you can kind of get warmed up on. You can see how the teams are playing. You can see if they have any problems within the basic tank skills. And that's really what kind of dictates the rest of their day.
Very true. It is all about that starting game as well. If someone makes a mistake here, they can really cause that ripple effect through the rest of the kind of tournament for them, and it really can knock their confidence. We saw Evil Panda Squad have an absolutely killing blow to their first game, and then just kind of trickled out of it. But I'm hoping we might be able to actually see the Virtus Pro stats, because the first time you'll be able to see them, and our thoughts towards it. Beautiful work, guys. And I think it's very hard for us to ever deny their decision-making and their choices, even especially in the fight coordination and accuracy. But we have kind of lowered down on the aggressive and creative side. Do you want to take us through why we may have kind of gone away from that?
I think we're a little harsh to Virtus Pro in terms of aggressiveness.
We can't give them a solid 10.
The thing is with Virtus Pro, they are that good. They're almost next level. So this is like comparing them to like Dignitas and Na'Vi, all these guys. So they are insane. Their decision making is on another level. Fight coordination, also incredible. Creets, the team captain, is just such a leader. Accuracy goes with skill. Creativity, definitely not, because they're not the ones to pick the new tanks. The Waffle Tiger isn't featured much. The 416, again, not featured. The tanks they kind of pick, which kind of, okay, that's something different, is something like a Pershing, which is in that middle ground. It's picked sometimes, but not always.
To be fair, the thing I always feel is, these other teams who do try these new tanks, these new kind of strategies, are generally trying to break the meta that's generally set by the likes of Virtus Pro and Dignitas. So they'll be sticking to their kind of very comfortable, very secure way of playing, and it works for them. They don't need to be kind of going back to these sort of newer picks to kind of throw anyone off. When maybe they start losing these games, if they have a real issue, I think maybe they could address it. But just the way they play, being such a formidable side, I don't think they have to quite adapt yet. Until that point comes, I think we'll be seeing them kind of sticking to this trend. And usually you can see they're just checking out their options. And Himmelsdorf, let's kind of go through what we can see here. Now, obviously, Virtus Pro are one of the big teams who do have that aggressive switch on this map occasionally that does come out. We saw Evil Panda Squad previously going for something very similar to that, but didn't quite make it stick, and they didn't actually play that aggressive. Whereas we saw a couple of other teams dabbling with the idea of it. Still Mojo for Kaz Crew pushing up that banana line, getting himself tucked in. Didn't really pay off too well in the end, but obviously the execution is very different per team. Now, do you think we might see that coming out from the likes of Virtus Pro on this map, or do you think DeNova's a team that they don't want to do that against?
Well, the thing is about DeNova is actually starting south on Himmelsdorf, so Virtus Pro can't do that rush across the middle. It doesn't work from the north, so I think we'll be seeing more of an 8-line camp, at least with a couple of tanks, looking towards that 2-3 line, 5100 hill with a T1. As for DeNova, remember yesterday, they sent most of the tanks over to 2-3 line. They had the T32 in the middle hull down, and they dabbled with the hill with the T1 and the AMX 5100. But tank picking has begun with the usual suspects, the double T1 from both teams. I'm expecting Virtus Pro to pick the 3 IS3s 250-100s, although they were, in terms of creativity, I guess it's their main chance. It's the T32. They were the first team to pick it. It didn't actually work out for them. They ended up losing that game, but still a good pickup, and they did give DeNova the kind of inspiration to use it like they did yesterday in that perfect hull down position between those broken houses. Did a lot of damage, actually, landed a few shells against those IS3s, and that gave them that edge they needed to win.
Yeah, and kind of looking back to what we've seen from Himmelsdorf so far, it's been a very different display. Normally we see, or we say at least about Himmelsdorf, it's played a very set style. We've seen a lot of adaptation coming through recently, a lot of focus towards the hill initially that has kind of given away games, a couple of, 3 tanks being up there, the use of that T32. There's a lot of adaptation coming out that's kind of maybe reforming the shape of Himmelsdorf for Touch. Do you think we'll see any of this coming out on this, or are they going to be going back to basics here? Because I don't think they can get away with it against Virtus.pro.
It's definitely back to basics. This map is just balanced. That's it. It's just 100% balanced. And I think just that alone makes it so you can't really have that many options. You have to play it a set way. You have to really just be logical about your playstyle. You can't rely on blind luck going in. But double AMX 5100 from both teams, IS3 T32 from DeNova, not unexpected as we did see it in both games they played on Himmelsdorf yesterday. Double IS3 from Virtus.pro, AMX 5100 for both teams. So for Virtus.pro we got the triple AMX 5100 double IS3 double T1. You got the same, except instead of that extra IS3, DeNova's picked up a T32.
So they are going to be running with that T32. So they're clearly happy with the performance of it so far. I don't think he did badly at all. It was certainly well deserving. But as we heard, Virtus.pro are certainly keeping tabs on what they saw before. And they'll be well aware of what DeNova are up to with that. And I'm trying to think of a counter that could really pay off in their favor. Do you think they might have prepared one overnight, or are we just going to see them playing their game and try and leave it to DeNova to do something else?
Well, you saw some Bishops talking to Mitch earlier saying we saw some new lineups, we saw some new tactics, so I think they would have definitely been looking at the T32, you know, the double IS3, the 110 on Ruhrberg, and thinking, okay, this is how these guys are doing it. Yep. What can we do to counter it? Definitely, T32 is a hard counter because what DeNova is doing is going for the long game, which is fair enough on Himmelsdorf. The action doesn't really start until about the 4 or 5 minute mark.
True.
So if you just get those initial damage shots off and you get about 700 damage onto the other team, you really do put yourself in a good position when you come to that firefight.
Well, we can only wait and see, and I'm kind of missing a certain someone's voice at the moment. You know, it's kind of missing from my life for Touch. So let's remind ourselves of the beautiful tones of Joe Miller when we watch the introduction video towards Himmelsdorf.
Himmelsdorf is a city maps of city maps. It's a small one, being 600 by 600 meters. There are 3 routes of attack: the hill, the banana, and the train side. The middle area is relatively easy to push, however can end up in disaster as you can be flanked from every side. The road, often called banana, allows for direct head-on assaults but requires a lot of resources. Both the railroad area and the road next to it are good routes of attack, being very open and straight. However, for those very same reasons, you can be easily caught out and taken down. The map features many densely housed areas, which provides good places for engagements and routes of attack. Teams must be aware of the various routes their opponents can take through the map, as well as the hull-down positions enemies can take throughout the entire map. The trick with Himmelsdorf is to catch an enemy tank unsupported by his teammates and then use that advantage to collapse on the entire enemy team.
So, welcome to the first map, ladies and gents. In the north, in that golden yellow, it's going to be Virtus.pro. First time we're going to be seeing these guys in the tournament. And in the south, in blue, it's going to be DeNova. So let's see what they have waiting in store for these guys. And what are we seeing so far here?
So Virtus.pro sending, as per usual, an AMX 5100 and a T1 up that hill. Just Cause also in hot pursuit. You've got Breakneck heading to the right with Kusok, who's gone down the middle. DeNova doing what they did yesterday. 5100 towards the left. They got the T32 is right and the IS3 behind. Double 5100 actually going up the hill. Sometimes only used to send one. But the 2 IS3s for Virtus.pro have now been spotted. The T32 in the middle. But bad news. He's playing that perfect. As long as he doesn't turn that turret too much, there's no chance an IS3 will penetrate. 265 to 298 millimeters of penetration on that turret. So easy stuff for him. He just needs to carry on playing well. Try and connect as many shots as he can, even he does have to use HE. As you can see, Kusok's already hit 1 shell onto his turret, only doing like 33 damage, 50 damage or something, so you don't have to worry too much. But for DeNova, they've seen exactly what Virtus.pro is doing, and you can already see their adaptation, sending another tank around, helping that 2-3 line. But they're going to have to be careful because their T1 is the only thing protecting the 8 line.
Yeah, and as we mentioned before, those tier 1s can be so important to this game. It can really make all the odds. And the amount of times we've seen Virtus.pro doing, oh, there we go, bad news, receives a big shell, and he's got to back away. And I'm not even sure where that came from. That certainly wasn't from Kusok, who was staring him down. Maybe Breakneck or Vorsik actually landed in that one. But he is being kind of tested here. This is a, can he kind of withstand this, pretty much? It's testing the nerve of DeNova. And already, you know, we already hear the pressure behind these guys. They've got a lot of work to do, and especially against the giants like Virtus.pro, it's not easy to keep your nerve in this one, and he's certainly going to be tried out now. So, interesting start from these two.
it's hard to really outsnipe Virtus.pro. They'll have those angles constantly. Like, no team really penetrated Bad News yesterday, and already within a couple of minutes, Virtus.pro have done it. And again, actually landing that second shell, 6-8-4. Bad News is down to. So that's just Cusack, because Bad News to actually hit one of these two, he has to turn his turret, allowing Cusack, and also that Commander's Copula can be penetrated easily by an I3, and Cusack's going to continue doing that. Bad News, originally, his plan is to do the exact thing other people are doing to him, so it's not going too well.
Yeah, and I love the way Breakneck and Cusack are just working together in this one, just kind of toying with him constantly. And I can only imagine the kind of comms between DeNova right now, trying to see what is our backup plan if this fails.
Yeah, and look at that, even more damage landing onto Bad News, down to 440. That's the HE ammo, because even if they don't use AP, because his turret is not turned, they can just switch to HE with a 390 average damage on that BL9. They can just carry on doing damage. It's like 110 damage per shot, and eventually Bad News will just go down.
Yeah, indeed. And I do want to kind of tease the idea to your head. How can DeNova kind of help him out here? Would maybe a hill push come into effect here? Maybe they'll consider that to try and get some fire down towards that D line. But I think Virtus.pro already have that in mind, looking at the situated tanks here, kind of towards the crest of the hill.
Yeah, DeNova definitely need the hill, because they see, okay, there's actually a tank on the D line. They need to put the 5100 up there, try and do some damage of their own. But, you know, Himmelsdorf is always an interesting map, because, yeah, okay, Bad News is down to 440, but DeNova are nowhere near out of the game, because all they need to do is engage those 3 5100s, and you can pummel down an IS-3 or a 5100 in about 6 seconds. So you just absolutely obliterate them if Virtus.pro make a single mistake. Delight now heading off that hill. I think Virtus.pro is starting to look towards that that one line, that 2 or 3 line actually, because otherwise they would have just turned straight left instead of going all the way around.
Now, once again, I can't help but reiterate the point of how important just that tier 1 on the hill is. Keeping eyes on Phoenix there. If he does make it to the hill, I can imagine Cusack might have to kind of readjust and rethink the kind of pressure they put on Bad News. But Bad News is in trouble. He is very low, as we mentioned before, down to 4-4, 0 HP. Not the ideal way to start, but I'm very interested to see this adaptation coming through. We are seeing a little bit of backup forming towards Phoenix on the hill, down that 0 line, if they fancy it. Maybe trying to overpower the other tanks, but already Virtus.pro are adapting. They're not just sitting back and waiting. And where do you think they're going? They're going the 1 to 3 line, making a push of this?
They're definitely trying that. They've got the tier 1 who actually moved off that flank. So whether they really have the information for that 1, 2, 3 line, but the thing is, the tanks in the G line and up the hill have been spotted. So Virtus.pro know they can outnumber the enemy team. They've got the 3 5100s there. They've got Breakneck up in that IS-3, so they know they can go 4 against 2, 4 against 3. Even Bad News low HP, so he's going to have to go hull down. So how much support and backup he can really provide to his team is questionable, to be honest. But DeNova, remember yesterday, they always struggled in that first game. They always had a slow start. They always had cold feet. Now starting to get themselves going. Cusack takes a big shot. I believe that was from Bad News, and gets himself tracked down to 1184.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of revenge coming through. Kind of, don't take us too lightly, guys. We are still certainly in this Bishop, the only other real player from Virtus.pro to receive any damage just in that tier 1 exchange. But Bad News received another big shell, down to 51 HP. He's in trouble. Now, we are seeing a bit of a mobilized force coming in from Virtus.pro, really starting to look down that 1 to 3 line. Nice little shot again. Beautiful play, keeping them at arm's length, not letting them through too easily here. But Virtus.pro, they still seem to want to go down this line.
Cusack got kind of greedy then. He thought, you know, okay, how many tanks can really be there? This might actually be some trouble for DeNova.
Dynamo is going solo already. 2 shells hitting back to back. He did get a little bit of reply on the first shell towards Delight, and this will be ringing alarm bells for DeNova now, knowing where the forces are. But bear in mind, 2 of the tanks are still on the hill. This is a lovely play from Virtus.pro, taking down the enemies that are vulnerable towards them. They're looking almost wounded already, but a nice little tracking shot there, holding Breakneck in place for a second. Does go for it again. Not going to happen. Breakneck continuing the push. Oh, more shells coming on the cross, but they're still looking fairly healthy here. Virtus.pro really could engage in any moment now.
But Virtus.pro kind of fall into a trap. Yes, okay, DeNova has taken some damage, but Virtus.pro's having to go out of their way, and they've been surrounded, and it looks like DeNova are ready and waiting.
Yeah, but we all know how well Virtus.pro can play in these fights, and at the moment, FC Dynamo's finding out the hard way. He does manage to take down Vorsic, but already Just Cause coming around the right flank. Breakneck flanking in on the left side, trying to focus down International. There's Just Cause picking up Ron. We do know there's another couple of tanks waiting around this corner. Delight getting aggressive, finding International, not getting the follow-up shot, though. And let's bear in mind the HP HP here. Phoenix is low. International is low. Bad news as well. Kusok in a lovely position. Oh, but lovely play from YR, expecting the push, kind of punishing Virtus.pro for walking into that trap. Can he get another? Yes, he can. This is vital. International now coming back around. Kusok is too far away really to help in this one. This is close quarters stuff here. Very low HP. Breakneck down to 164. Just Cause a lot higher, 1105. But they are not in the best position. They're out of place here.
Just Cause doesn't have the reload either. He's only got 2 shells. That's not enough to take down one. It's just about enough to take down 2. He's going to engage.
Indeed, Just Cause going, oh, beautiful play from Virtus.pro. Just when you think they're out of it, they come out of nowhere and they drag it back. Those tier 1s kicking into action. Now just Phoenix and Bad News alive. They have to pull out something incredible here. Stop the cap, take down a vast amount of tanks, and already they know where they are. Phoenix has been spotted out there, making his way through. Even Bishop just now keeping tabs on these guys. Certainly perfect play, but can they find these shots now? Kusok still hunting around, trying to keep those eyes open. They found Bad News, limping away. He's so low, 51 HP. He's not in a good position right now. Bishop still keeping tabs, regrouping together, looking through that central section. It's a matter of time really now.
Bad News couldn't really engage then because of his HP, and it's certainly starting to show Bad News Just Cause.
Indeed, Just Cause now coming around looking. Oh my god, he doesn't get the shot he wanted. Phoenix has taken down Karit, but still, the damage is kind of falling quite drastically in favor to Virtus.pro. Is now just Phoenix alive. He's still doing work. He's picked up 2, maybe tier 1s, but still, he's now got to take down the big guys, but it's too little too late. Breakneck comes in, takes him down. First map, Virtus.pro.
Brilliant stuff from Virtus. Even though when they could be seen as losing, they just get themselves into the better position. And once again, you know, that initial damage onto Bad News just really being crucial here. Breakneck doing 2.9k there. Oh, not, yeah, 2.9k and picking up 2 frags. But at the end of the day, what DeNova did wrong then was they stayed too long in that intersection. They were actually winning that engagement by quite some distance. But because they engaged, they took down that tank, and they didn't reverse quick enough, they couldn't really do anything about Kusok from behind. And then Bad News, he only on 51 HP. That's not enough to really go out and be aggressive. If he was on 100% HP, or even if he was in an IS3 and he could just peek out and actually do a hell of a lot of damage in one shot, then I think it would have been another story. But that was one hell of a close game.
That was a fantastic start to today too, and I think this is just a taste of things to come. And speaking of kind of the results and how things are going, I think we need to check in with a certain someone because we haven't actually seen them today. And I think I want to know what you people at home believe in, because we saw a lot of strong votes, the likes of DeNova yesterday. And I'm wondering if these guys are going to turn up and vote again. So Melly, do let us know how people can get involved.
Thank you, Lauren. Well, at first, hello and welcome from my side again. We are into the second day of the grand finals of the Wargaming.net League Season 3, where today the champion will be crowned, and I'm really excited, as you see. Well, and yeah, you should know this little corner. That's my social media spot where I take care of all social media appearances. And as Lauren mentioned, we have a vote on our Facebook page where you people can get involved and tell me what you think about the current matchup. And I had a sneak peek in it, and it's 59% versus 41% for Virtus.pro. I think it will change after this, well, kind of perfect start for them. But let's see how the vote develops throughout the day and throughout the match. I'm sorry, we will have a vote for every matchup, so you always have the chance to vote for your favorite team in the current matchup and to show me how you guys at home think. And of course, we have a challenge. We have our online challenge for viewers at home that sadly can't be here. You only have to send me a picture via Twitter by using the hashtag WGLEU of how you enjoy our production. So if you're sitting at home on your couch with your TV in front of you, just take a picture, pull out your mobile phone, snap a picture and throw it via Twitter to me. And yeah, that's how you can get involved. For our offline audience here in the venue, we also have a challenge. I have some cardboard lying out here in front of my desk and some pens. Just come over, grab a cardboard and draw a fan sign for your team to support them, to cheer for them, to show them your love and support. And yeah, I already see someone walking up. That's pretty nice. So you're all invited to get involved. And we have, of course, bonus codes for you guys at home. So, and for the people here in the venue. So getting part in our challenges has definitely its benefits. And, excuse me, while already being on our social media pages, just become part of our network to stay updated throughout the whole event. Even if you're not able to watch the stream, I will keep you updated via Twitter per live feed. I will tweet every ending of every single map, so you won't miss any action of today. And I think that's very important since we have great matches ahead of us. And of course, as I said, the champion will be crowned today. And yeah, that's nothing you won't miss, I guess. And yeah, do I have anything else to say? No, I'm done. Pretty much all. Thank you very much for listening and have fun in the second map.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Melly. So do make sure you get involved. Obviously, we love hearing from you guys, and considering how that first game went, I think there's certainly a lot to be said here. Virtus.pro playing beautifully just from the offset already. These guys are certainly out to play today. That boot camp, whatever they've done in the last couple of weeks, is paying off. You know, we saw that T32 really doing damage to any team that took on DeNova yesterday. It may not have been the most perfect play, but it certainly did its job. But today, that just got negated almost instantly. I think was it Breakneck and Kusok who were the first two to really just kind of start focusing it down and doing the damage.
They were doing it perfectly. What they were doing is making it turn its turret, and then having the other one shoot, and then doing it the other way, having the other guy make his turn his turret, and then shooting in. It was just perfect coordination between Virtus.pro, and that really allowed them to get into the game because it was basically 5 versus 4. They could basically ignore that T32, and they could concentrate on the other tanks, and that's why it was really one of the last ones left, and pretty much did the lowest amount of damage out of the whole team. So not a perfect start for Virtus.pro because it wasn't a perfect game. DeNova were actually winning it at one point, apart from until Kusok just came from behind and obliterated them. So DeNova have a few things to think about, but they can be happy about that start because considering their starts yesterday where they actually lost the first map on Ruinberg against Kazanakru, it's certainly a lot better.
Now, I think you kind of mentioned a very good point there, the fact we've got Ruinberg coming up. Now, we are sitting at 1-0 in favour of Virtus.pro. No real surprise out there, but Ruinberg's not a bad map for DeNova. We've seen them doing some brilliant things on this. They struggled a little bit before because they got very focused down on those 1390s. I believe, was it YR who went very low? I think it may have been, or International. One of the two had some real trouble with the 1390 double push through the city. Now, we know Virtus.pro favour the kind of village side, or the hill side, should we say, so towards the right side of the map. Do you think we might see them kind of negating that strategy again, or maybe DeNova have adapted or trying something different?
The problem with that strategy, like pushing all your tanks onto the hill and mines, is that you're actually just gambling at the end of the day. It's like, has that guy taken ration so he has that 10% crew skill? Because then he'll have better reload because of the commander and the loader, obviously. Right. Or has he taken fire extinguisher? Or has he taken double repair kit? You know, all these things that can't go through your mind, which can obviously make a huge difference. You have the better reload, you get the last shot out before the other player, and that's the last shot you need to kill him. So all these things are so important. I personally think DeNova are going to play a lot more cautiously, and double AMX 1390 is always risky. You know, even spawns come into the equation. So yeah, I'm pretty sure they won't gamble as much. They tried all their tactics yesterday. They tried their normal setups yesterday, but now playing against Virtus.pro, they have to win this one. You know, the winner of this goes in for a minimum of 21,000 euros. So a big amount of money on the line. Also, a lot of pressure in terms of looking towards those global finals, which will also mean a lot to these guys. This is where they will go if they get the top results here.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, that's got to be not necessarily in the forefront, but it's certainly in the background there. And they've got to be considering their choices because Virtus.pro are just so damn good at the moment. And I do kind of want to explain a little bit. You know, we gave them a lot of high accuracy rating in that one. I do kind of want to tell you guys why. We've obviously got these stats that I'll be publishing on Twitter afterwards because I think they are pretty awesome to look at so you guys can understand what we're talking about. But just so you kind of get an idea of how damn good these guys are. So Delight, for example, you know, very good player. Top 3 for the damaging rolls within that team, only being beaten by Breakneck and Just Caused, hitting an average of 74% accuracy. So out of the 618 shots he took, he hit 461 of them. That is incredible. Same goes for Amelka, another incredible player. These guys are formidable to come up against. You give them an inch, they will take a mile just because they're so damn good. And we saw it before, you know, Kusok and Co. just really working the players down. Now, DeNova obviously have their own strengths. They're phenomenal players themselves. They've got, you know, some brilliant aimers in the mix. Rest in peace, actually having higher accuracy than anyone in Virtus Pro, but you know, what can you do when you're just being outplayed like they were then? There was nothing that could be done whether or not you're the best player in the world or not. So, as you can see, the team's just looking fairly somber actually over in the DeNova camp. Not looking too confident just yet, but very serious faces going through these guys, and a lot of, you know, serious choices to be made in the next couple of moments because, as you mentioned, 21K pretty much on the line here.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of pride as well. But you know, you were talking about rest in peace. He was a former Virtus Pro member. He ended up leaving and going to DeNova, and Positive leaving from DeNova going to Virtus Pro, so they had that switch. Also, we've got Vorsic here. Amelka no longer in the team. He was part of the team for a long time after leaving Red Rush Unity, and before that even Red Rush Team 1. So a long-term member, an absolutely fantastic player. Also winner of the Season 2. He was one of the members there. Obviously second in Season 1 as well. So a bit of a shame to see him leave the team for a permanent member. I think he's still around. But also they've replaced him with some absolute great players. As I mentioned, Vorsic, he's like a prodigy. He's just sick for his age. He just takes it to the next level. Really clear thinking. I remember watching the Golden League, now known as the War Game Don't Let You Russia. His play on Abby was so clutch. It was almost painful to watch. But yeah, they've got some fantastic roster changes. Both teams, I think these are the two best iterations of the teams we've seen so far.
And the one thing I really do like, the offline performance and the online performance of every team who took part is kind of keeping up to scratch. So the top 4 teams we had finishing within the online side of things to qualify here are still in the running. So no team has kind of broken out. We are seeing every single team playing to their strengths at the moment and playing to what we'd expect. But there's nothing saying that DeNova can't turn up and really do some damage in the next couple of games, because Ruinberg, it's all up for grabs. You know, there's a lot of things that we've done here. And to be fair, every time these two have met, DeNova always picked up one map here or there. It's never been a complete stomp. It's never been, you know, this kind of 3-0 out, you go, no second chances. There has been a map picked up, so DeNova definitely need to do that. Maybe dent a little bit of the confidence of Virtus Pro coming into here, because if they get off to that flying start, there's no stopping these guys. You know, Dignitas, phenomenal team, do not get me wrong, but you can never underestimate Virtus Pro. Their reign through this season was something to be certainly looked towards. 13-4 was their record at the end of this. 13 wins, 4 losses. Obviously Dignitas just beating them at 15-3, but still, that is a phenomenal record to have, and losing out to some really rather respectable teams who are actually still in this one. So I think we are just having a couple of technical issues here, hence us trying to sort a couple of things out and us talking for a while. But yeah, we can kind of go through what to expect on Ruinberg, what tank choices we could be seeing, why they might be appearing, and who's probably going to be picking them up as well. Because as we, you know, I'm not sure if we kind of highlight it enough, but you know, very specific players play fairly specific tanks, or at least within a certain realm. So you get your heavy tankers, maybe a little bit lighter, maybe a medium tank. So what do you think we can see on Ruinberg? Because we have seen some adaptations coming out before. We've seen Waffle Tigers, we've seen 110s in the mix. A lot of teams trying different things. Now, I think it'd be a bit of a stretch to see Virtus Pro maybe testing that one out. But what about DeNova? Can you take me through the tanks you feel might actually be featured here? Because there's a lot of possibilities.
Well, DeNova did pick tanks like the IS-3, and that kind of thing is quite risky because you're using a lot of HP, the 110 as well. You've got a lot of HP, you've got a lot of firepower. But Virtus Pro always have been the model of consistency on this map, on all maps, to be honest. They pick the triple T69 double AMX 1390 or just the triple T69 AMX 1390, AMX 5100, the latter being the completely standard normal lineup on this map. Whether they're really going to do it this time, based on what they saw yesterday from DeNova with the heavy tanks, they really have to start thinking about it, because unless that 5100 directly engages the IS-3 or the 110, it's gonna really struggle. The other tanks are really going to struggle to take those two down. It's a hard game when you have to start really using a T69 against an IS-3, because about 50% of the shots will bounce, regardless if you go for the upper or lower glaciers. So a lot of things going through their minds. At the end of the day, HP and firepower make a huge difference. Even if you have the best players in the world, if you're playing an AMX 3090 and you have to take down an IS-3, you still have that 1,500 HP and a massive 390 damage gun to deal with, and you're sitting in a little pea shooter 1,100 HP, 240 average damage. You're still going to struggle.
Yeah, most certainly, and they know this right now. That's the thing. They all understand this factor here. Now, let's say you're DeNova, right? You're in their shoes. You know how Virtus.pro play, which is generally towards the right side of the map, on the hill towards the village. Now, the tank choices they've gone for before, like the IS-3s, I don't feel really have the strength to maybe confront in there, maybe a 5100 is a little bit more of a viable choice, but, you know, certainly down to preference. Do you feel that, you know, DeNova have maybe a strategy ready, something they could fall back to kind of counteract Virtus.pro's style there? What would you kind of suggest to them if, you know, in hindsight you kind of could look over, because obviously hindsight's 2020, what would you kind of say would be the best option to go for?
Well, they've obviously prepared for Virtus.pro. They think, okay, we might struggle in day one to get sorted, but we will probably, as one of the top 4 teams, end up in day 2. Obviously, you know, it'll be 1 to 4 today. So, okay, we're top 4, so we probably will get through. We're going to be playing either Virtus.pro or Team Dignitas, but we probably will. We might even end up playing both, because obviously the semi-finals and the finals, or even the small finals. So what happens then is that you start preparing for each team, Virtus.pro or Team Dignitas. How do we beat these guys? We need strategies. We need to see what they've done on Ruinberg. We need to see what they've done on all maps. And then whatever they come up with, after a lot of talking, a lot of preparation, whatever they did in the time before this tournament, just stick to that plan. Obviously, it's a small plan within the first 2 minutes, because obviously things go crazy and you can't really just drive arbitrarily around the map. So just stick to the plan. Make sure you're thinking clearly. As Ronnie says, the most important thing in these matches are about staying calm and clear focus, and just having that wisdom just to see the obvious thing on the map. You don't look at the small things, look at the big picture.
Yeah, most certainly, and they're going to be talking that through. You can see DeNova there in a little bit of a conversation, probably going through the last couple of details that are in the back of their mind about this, how to ensure that everyone's on the same page, especially. You don't want to be, you know, kind of getting any mistakes going now, and hopefully they are prepared for this. As you mentioned, there's been a lot of time to get ready. I think they are just going to have a very quick chat about this one. And you can see they're just getting themselves prepared and making sure everything is ready. So hopefully we won't be too long. You know, we are just waiting on, obviously, a couple of issues to be resolved. In the meantime, I'm still joined by some incredible players, and I think we should really head over to them, because there's a man who kind of struggled to even make it to the country, let alone the venue, and stay in for the second day, bless him. But let's head over to Mitch, who is waiting with the one, the only, Still Mojo.
Into Krakow Airport, and you weren't with them. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what happened to you guys, obviously, in transit?
Yes, I had a slight adventure. I lost my passport and my plane tickets in transit, so I came a bit later, like tomorrow, on my own.
So how did you actually end up getting here?
By train in the middle of the night.
The things we do for esports, right? So tell me, did that impact your preparation much, or were you guys sort of ready to just chill out and focus on the event?
No, I just decided to sleep over the entire day while they were doing interviews, so it was cool.
So tell us, obviously, different teams going through different kinds of preparation. What does your average Kazna crew training day look like?
When we practice for something like LAN, we play like per training 2 to 4 or 5 hours a day, and then 3, 4, 5 days per week. Depends how many partners we can find.
So tell us, you guys obviously are definitely crowd favourites a lot of the times you come down. Even in Poland, where there's some of the Polish teams here, a lot of people love Kazna crew and they love what you guys are about and your attitude and approach towards the game. We didn't get to chat to you guys yesterday, obviously, because you went down and we sort of let you guys just sort of mull it over a bit. But do you want to walk us through a little bit about what happened yesterday? I don't want to make you relive it, but tell us, I guess, where you guys feel like you sort of let yourselves down.
Well, we'll definitely let a match out of our hands against DeNova, so we repaired against Pandas, but we were not on level against Lemming. They outplayed us completely, and that's it. There is nothing more to it. We could do better for sure, but that's how it happened.
So what's next for Kazna crew now? Of course, I mean, there's no real chance of you guys disappearing anytime soon, I'm sure, not with the following you have. You know, are you back to the drawing board after this? What's next for you guys?
a vacation. We really need one. We were playing 3 seasons in a row without a break. This is 5th or 6th place we travel to, and we really need some break.
Fair enough. And look, lastly, we look at your team. There's a lot of characters in there, real sort of, people that you can definitely spot in a crowd. Guys like Vetso as well, and the way they play. Do you want to tell us, who do you think is, the craziest person in Kazna crew? I know you guys are pretty out there, but, who's the craziest and why?
Cobra, definitely.
Oh, I saw him on the video, yeah. Is that what he's like, or was he just acting? Is he really like that?
Who can know, mate? He's crazy.
We were walking down out of the hotel in the outskirts of Tychy, and we walked down and we saw written in snow, Cobra loves Melly. Was that written by him or by you guys?
Maybe it was written by Melly, I don't know.
Okay, well, thank you very much for joining me, Still Mojo, and I'm sorry we can't see more of you guys this weekend. We're going to cut to a quick break, ladies and gentlemen, and when we be back, we'll be back for Game 2 of DeNova versus Virtus Pro. Don't go anywhere.
Alrighty, guys, so welcome back. Obviously, there's a little bit of downtime. We're just fixing some technical issues. It should be done pretty damn quickly, but in the meantime, we thought we'd kind of take you through the people you are seeing. Obviously, we haven't done a full roster rundown of these two, but you probably know them by now. I don't think we need to baby step you through this, but I thought we'd give you some highlights towards some of the players here. So when they pop up on your screen, we can give you a little bit of a chat about them, because there's some really outstanding players, especially in the Virtus Pro lineup. Not to kind of speak down to DeNova, but Virtus Pro certainly have some incredible people. And while we do wait, I do want to make sure you guys are still getting involved via all the social media routes. And do let us know your thoughts towards the next map, which is going to be Ruinberg. Currently, it's 1-0 up towards Virtus Pro, taking Himmelsdorf in some damn fashion. They're really kind of pushing it to the limit. But maybe Ruinberg could fall in DeNova's favour. So do let us know, obviously, via the usual social media routes. Obviously, at WGLEU. Which is the main one. Do a little hashtag for that, and then at They Call Me Pansy for myself, and at LaughterWOT for my incredible co-caster, who's pretty chilled right now. He's chilling out. How are you feeling about today? Are you excited to see the kind of results?
Of course I am. I'm extremely excited. I mean, this is the dream game we've been looking at, DeNova and Virtus Pro. DeNova is a team where they haven't done so well on the online section against Virtus Pro, but they're certainly looking very strong. That's your team captain for DeNova on the screen now. Old schooler from, I believe, Red Tide and Russian Pirates when they were back playing wargaming tournaments and on ESL as well. So a massive player, a really good guy as well. Generally, really calm as well. He keeps himself really at a level head, and that's really what helps his team through and gets them the results they do. So next up, that's him on your screen. In fact, there's Ron in real life. He's obviously still chilled and cool, because there's nothing wrong with those guys. Everything's sorted. They're just probably poring over some tactics, maybe even just having a cool chat, because once you've done that preparation, you don't want to over prepare and think about everything too much, because then it just becomes a bit of a mind problem, a mind game within yourself.
Yeah, you start kind of doubting your own kind of choices, then you overthink things, and it kind of ruins the whole point of it. But yeah, obviously very, very talented players within the DeNova lineup. And I do kind of want to ask you a quick question, because I haven't asked you this yet, and normally I like to put you on the spot. Who's your top three? First, second, and third?
See, that's a hard question.
I know it is.
That is the hardest question of them all. Judging by the online section, I would say Team Dignitas, Virtus Pro, DeNova. No, maybe even Lemming Train. I can't distinguish between third and fourth. It's almost impossible. And that's another big man on your screen right there. That's Dmitry Kasaktin. I can't say Russian words, and I can't say his normal nickname either. Kusok Overaki.
We just say Kusok, just to kind of lessen our chances of being wrong.
The amount of times he's told me how to say his name is almost unbearable. But he's team manager, team co-owner, very, very impressive player. He was the resident artillery player for Virtus Pro, and he moved as a heavy tank player and a light tank player as Las Vegas moved into that team. He obviously, remember Las Vegas being one of the best artillery players in the world, so obviously he moved out. Yeah. He's far down compared to... It's me and Eclipse from Navia, then Las Vegas is somewhere there. Still Mojo might be somewhere there. But they're almost, maybe a couple of years they'll be almost as good. But there's your man on your screen sitting next to Breakneck and the main man himself, Koritz, in their 3-4 setup here at this finals.
Yeah, and just another little tip about Kusok there. Out of the 70 battles he's got 57 kills. So sitting quite nicely there, actually. Good job from him through the online season, certainly performing very, very well. Now back to that top three kind of topic there. I've got to say it, I'm finding it hard to pick first in this, because it's very hard to kind of go for Dignitas when you haven't seen them playing yet, and seeing Virtus Pro is very hard to deny, but I don't know, I think Dignitas first, but then we didn't even see them in the Season 2 finals, which is making it even harder for me to kind of pin them down. But no, I think Dignitas first, Virtus Pro second, and then DeNova. Even though Lemming Train could certainly cause an upset. They're a team who are very able to. So,
yeah.
The thing about DeNova is they are just so talented. And they've always been just, a couple of steps away from the big guys. And maybe they can cause even a bigger upset and take down one of the two top teams. So, enough of our faces and our words. You don't want to be looking at us. You want to be looking at Melly, who's waiting down in the audience with some incredible people.
Thank you, Lauren. Well, I found some very interesting people. It's Matthew, Dominic, and Maciej, which are sitting next to me. And Well, it seems like, well, you're actually wearing the same T-shirt. So I asked, you're playing in a team together, you're from the same clan?
Yes, we do.
And, well, how does it feel to sit as a proper team here and watch the pro players play?
It's kind of nice to be with other players and members of community, so it's fine, very fine.
Does this give you some kind of motivational boost for maybe attack in the A series to get a spot in the Pro League and advance to some kind of finals in the near future?
Well, maybe we will try to get some team, but the level of playing is very high here, so it's really nice to look at it and amusing. So I prefer to be here and first time, and if someone have time, I would recommend to.
Cool. And how long do you guys play together?
Since open beta. And even closed beta maybe, I don't remember, but it's 3 years now. And it's a lot of time.
Yeah, it's indeed. So you two are brothers?
Yes, we are.
And I know siblings tend to fight. And that's a mobile phone going on. But it's fine. Don't panic. So siblings tend to fight, right? Like, especially brothers. in like 10 situations, if, for example, your little brother messes up a very important situation, what do? Just run over? You still live together?
Yes.
So you ran over to the next room and just punch him?
Oh, maybe not. Well, sometimes yes. Maybe some few bad words. I don't know. We couldn't hit him and make like this, and lots of different things.
but it's nice having your brother in your team, or do you think it's sometimes very, let's say, exhausting?
No, I think it's something good because team playing is quite high when I play with my brother, and we can understand each other's.
And Maciej, you come from the same town as.
We come from Krakow, a beautiful town.
So you traveled all the way down here just to be with us?
Yes, to be with my friends and to make a good party.
So you use this as kind of, well, clan meeting, team meeting, or whatever?
Maybe, but we still live near each other, so we know from day of day.
So you what?
So we drink together all the time. So.
But it's a nice trip, isn't it? Something different, going outside of Krakow and experiencing something new.
Yes, of course. Well, a new city to visit and new people to meet. It's quite amusing.
That's nice to hear. And if you sit here and watch the pro players play, and they play some special tactics, do you think by yourself you could maybe overtake some parts, some ideas of them? Does those games give you some kind of inspiration?
Yes, of course. High-level players, and we see how they play, how they use tactics, how they do tanks, individual skills, and we want to use it in the games in futures.
Are you here the first day, or have you been here yesterday as well?
It's second day.
Second day, that's nice to hear. And yesterday, did you have some kind of upset? Did you think that one team deserved it more to advance to the next stage of this tournament, or did everything went well for you?
This team are very, very skilled, so everyone deserves. First match was kind of boring, but they were getting better, yes. And the DeNova game style is awesome. They are playing with hearts, aggressive, and I think they are quite nice to watch them play.
Okay, so is DeNova your favorite team here in the tournament?
Game style, yes, but we see our Polish, so Lemming Train in our heart.
So in this matchup, you want DeNova to win?
Yes.
That's good. And you?
I was hoping that DeNova will win because I really like the play style from the last day. I see that he didn't see Virtus Pro yet and the next team. So Virtus Pro's the play style is also very good, and I think that Virtus Pro will win, but DeNova have their chances if they stay cool.
So Virtus Pro are still the champions of the last season, And have you followed last season?
To say surely, no. But
will you follow the next season?
Really, yes, of course.
That's nice to hear. So, yeah, both extraordinary strong teams. So I think it's a proper match of the giants, if you ask me. And or do you think it's different?
I don't think different because their level of play is very similar. So if I think that their chances are 50-50% to win.
Okay. Well, guys, thank you very much for this nice interview. I wish you a good time here at the venue, and I hope you enjoy our event. I don't know what's wrong with my jacket today. I'm so sorry. I'm like always pulling up my arms. Well, I wish you the best of luck for your team, and maybe we'll see you sometime in the A series. You never know, since young and talented teams have the chance to sit right here on the finals by going through such maybe the Go 4 Cups or the A series. So everything is possible.
Yes. You should gather your team and to try.
So you can write a proper Cinderella story if you like. Yeah. If you like. So that's pretty much all from me. Now keep getting involved via Twitter and Facebook and everything. And let's head back to the casters.
Thank you so much, Melly. She's doing a great time in the crowd. I don't think we're going to get her back to her social media corner. We might have to kind of leave her chair there, maybe put a table in and just kind of leave her down with her laptop. But still, yeah, fantastic hearing from people here in the crowd. Everyone is seeming to have a great time. I can imagine maybe when a couple of drinks start flowing later, they'll be having an even better time. But for now, I think we are almost ready to get this one underway. So technical issues seemingly being resolved. I think they're just the last couple of checks going through. But it's fantastic hearing from the people here. You know, DeNova certainly kind of turning a few heads with the way they've been playing, certainly impressing a couple of people in the audience. But Virtus Pro, you can't deny these guys. They look so damn good already. And we kind of talked about Rurenberg, and they are getting those tank picks underway. So let's get our mindset over towards that and what sort of choices we're seeing, because that's basically the important factor here, is what picks they are making in the next couple of minutes.
So the T69 and the MX-3090 is probably going to be the two tanks we'll see featured the most, and indeed it does look that way as both teams pick one apiece. We also got the AMX5100 and the AMX3090 for Virtus Pro, so they're going for a pretty quick lineup. AMX5100, T69 for DeNova, last pick from Virtus Pro, the T69, last pick from DeNova, that 110 again. But before we head on to that 110, I just want to say that this is a completely the standard lineup from Virtus Pro. This is exactly what they've been playing for 2 seasons straight, so they have it down to an absolute T, which is a massive advantage. DeNova going for that 110. We saw it yesterday, worked out an absolute treat against Crew, although they did lose a little bit later on. They did manage to take it back against Lemming Train. I think for the 110, it's about absorbing damage and also dealing that damage easily. I remember when DeNova actually took the KV5 on this map, it didn't actually work out at all. They kind of thought, okay, what tank makes all those plays? It's strong enough, it can deal enough damage, it's got enough HP. Okay, that's this new 110, this Chinese tank, which wasn't there when the KV5 was featured. Yeah. That sounds like a pretty good mix of everything, so they're going to pick that one up. But the final lineup for Virtus Pro is the AMX5100, double T69, double AMX3090, double T1. And for the side of DeNova, we've got the 110, AMX5100, AMX3090, double T69, double T1.
Yeah, very interesting choices. DeNova sticking to their guns, clearly happy with the performance of that 110. I don't think they would be too upset against it. So just waiting now pretty much for these guys to make sure they are all secure and ready. So I can't wait to see this game. Quick last-minute prediction from you?
I think DeNova's going to take it.
This could be one for DeNova to take it back. So if you just tuned in, quick refresher to kind of bring it back into your minds. First map was Himmelsdorf, and the guys on your screen picked that one up in some incredible fashion. That T32 that DeNova were championing, not quite doing the work that they did before, with the likes of Kusok and a couple of others, Just Cause in the mix, really putting it through its paces. So DeNova just talking through the last couple of things, making sure they're ready. High fives being done by Virtus Pro there, all looking pretty damn good to go. So hopefully they are now secured. Now he's going for DeNova. I'm going to have to go with Virtus Pro on this one. I'm a big fan of the way they play. I think it's very hard to deny them in any way, shape or form. You know, and especially if Virtus Pro have been kind of taking note of that 110 yesterday, they know where it's going to be. They know how it's going to be played. I think they're going to be ready for this one, but we can only find out in a couple of seconds. So guys, let's get ready for Rurenberg.
Ruinberg is one of our newer city maps, and it's fairly large, being 800 by 800 meters. There are 3 main routes of attack: the roads leading to the city, the road going through the middle, and the village area. Each of these have 2 important areas to control. The city has very large roads and plenty of opportunities for teams to flank. The long roads also provide for good sniping areas as well as corner shooting. Teams often push through the village area, and once controlled, the team can move on to the enemy's base. You should pick heavy tanks with high alpha damage for corner sniping, as well as a faster tank for the middle spot.
So, get ready for the head-to-head here. DeNova facing off against Virtus.pro into the second map now. As we mentioned, it's going to be Ruinberg, one of the most brilliant, sometimes very fast-paced maps in the map pool at present. It's all about keeping eyes on players like Delight, Bishop, Breakneck, Just Cause, Vorsic to really do the damage. For those tier 1s in the background, Kusok and Koritz can really cause trouble there and really force the pressure. Whereas it'll be International Phoenix. Bad news, FC Dynamo, YR to be the main damaging tanks, whereas Ron and Winnie the Pooh playing those tactical games. And we are underway in the north in the gold and yellow. It's going to be Virtus.pro. And in the south, in blue, it's DeNova. What are they doing so far here?
So Virtus.pro doing their standard tactics, sending Delight as far up towards the left as they can so he can get behind those buildings and get on top of the players once he has that reload. Vorsic just caused some Bishops charging ahead with the double AMX 1390 T69 as a very strong move. They're trying to get themselves into a position to try and take some damage onto DeNova's AMX 1390s, but DeNova nowhere to be seen. They have started from the south every single time they played this map, but they haven't played this tactic at all. They've always put those AMX 1390s in the middle or just put all tanks in the middle. They never kind of turtle down towards that H-line, or K to H-line even, with their 2 heavy tanks, the AMX 5100 and the 110. So at the moment, Virtus.pro's like, what's going on? What's happening? We've never seen this ball from DeNova, not in the offline stages, not in the offline events, not a single time. This is a completely new tactic, a bit like Lemming Train and Evil Panda Squad played this yesterday, which ended up being quite a stomp for Lemming Train. So maybe Virtus.pro has something here, but what they need to do now is cross those T's and dot those I's, make sure that the rest of the map is free of DeNova, make sure they can get that map control over towards the green side, and then start looking towards the obvious place, which is the city.
Yeah, most certainly, and very interesting choice from DeNova, not really picking a tank or a couple of tanks that would give away the game going towards that city. You know, in IS3, generally you start thinking, oh, they're going to go for that city push. But the 110, we've seen it in various places, it's got very similar attributing factors to the IS3, but not quite the same ones to that effect. So certainly keeping Virtus.pro on their toes and looking for ways to do things here. Breakneck laying off a couple of shots. No one there to receive them, but it is all about, as you said, you know, crossing off those T's and dotting the I's, just making sure there's no one just hiding out in those corners, and Breakneck obviously being the player to clear that one through. Tier 1s will be kind of getting themselves towards positions that they could maybe get a couple of spots from, and it's all a game now of just checking every angle possible and making sure that there's no one laying in wait, because we've seen tanks before struggling when they get caught out, and teams being very, very sneaky in this one. So as you can see, Just Cause edging forward now down towards that K-line. So he's got some decent ground behind him. His team almost moving in unison across the map, sweeping over it. No one breaking too far ahead. You can see Breakneck there still being the player to test the waters, check all those little angles and pixels, and make sure there's no one waiting. And DeNova, it's a game of just sitting back. And do you think they prefer this? Because normally Virtus.pro, you know, they're quite a passive team. They're not the most aggressive team in the world, but they're making them play out of their comfort zone, maybe.
Exactly. What Virtus.pro do very well is that they can counter the normal tactics. It's the same with these top teams. They're very good at countering what they know. So if you do something what they don't know, you try something completely new, then all they can do at that point is just play the best tanks they can, and that's when they fall back onto their player skill, and that's usually enough to take them through with a win. But against a team like DeNova, who is equal on player skill, if they're going up against them with a tactic they are unfamiliar with, and DeNova have a plan for it, they have that player skill, then they're really going to struggle and they're probably going to lose. But I don't think it's DeNova's end game just to sit there and turtle it down. I think they obviously have a plan. They're just waiting for the catalyst to go forwards. As you can see, only Kusok is being spotted out for Virtus.pro. Everyone else including DeNova, not a single spot. But they all have to sacrifice, Virtus.pro will have to sacrifice a T1 to try and get some information, try and find out exactly what DeNova has. And another thing interesting they've done, they sent some tanks north and got some tanks south. That's just to
hedging their bets almost.
Exactly.
There.
Like, are DeNova going to go for that cheesy push? Really? Are they going to go for it? Okay, let's see if they actually do. Let's put some tanks up there and make sure that they can't. And obviously they got Just Cause and the other AMX 3090 as well as Kusok in the tier 1, just to make sure that they aren't pushing from that side and they keep the spots up and they can do some damage along those roads as long as they stay in those bushes.
Yeah, certainly not overextending there, and hopefully they're not spreading themselves too thin, because that could be the issue if they do overcompensate, oversaturate almost this map, and they don't have that kind of secured area. So you're seeing Kusok still being such a pivotal factor, with Karitz and Just Cause being the probing members of Virtus.pro, edging a little bit further forward. The rest of the side sitting back more defensively, trying to find out where DeNova are, and it might be a drawn-out map here, because you know, at the end of the day, they could always replay it, and once you kind of understand half of the tactic now, it can be applied a lot quicker the second time through. So maybe Virtus don't want to be walking into a trap. Maybe they want to kind of reset and rethink and go through what their best option is if this is a very defensive DeNova, which it could very well be. So we are just seeing a couple more tanks now joining the more offensive split here. It is Vorsic coming over in that 1390, looking to join his teammates, maybe find a couple of spots. There's nothing close to him though. Literally DeNova as far back as they can get if they weren't sitting in that K1 section, really playing quite pretty much a turtle down here from these guys, and Vorsic still looking for a way through, not finding much at all, just trying to find maybe a pixel out of place. And as we mentioned, DeNova just not really having much luck in this one to this point. They struggle with that T32 play, now depending on the 110 maybe to kind of find its comfort zone in this map, and they're certainly trying to use it to its strengths here. And now, how do you feel that their composition works within, you know, the area they're in? Because they're certainly sitting, you know, quite into towards the city, so that 110 has, you know, its comfort zone there. But what about the other tanks? Does a 5100 have its place with the T69s?
Yeah, it definitely does. There was actually a point even on Himmelsdorf where the T69 was featured at least once for that hill spot, and it played alongside that 5100, because basically you have the 25-second reload on the T69 and you have the 48-second reload on the 5100. Now that's perfect, because you can get that a long period of damage with the 5100, you get that 6 shells, but then you continue having the damage through the T69. Only a 25-second reload, it's got 4 shells, so you have consistent damage, and then once you wait for that reload on the 5100, that takes over. Then you get 2 reloads with the T69, it just back and forth continuously. So the amount of burst potential which exists when those two are fighting together is almost unstoppable. So yeah, it's a perfect tank to play alongside. The 110, as you mentioned, it just provides that consistent damage, the real meat to the composition, the double T69 there as well. Just really, as you said, just there to provide just some good, consistent damage. And obviously, YR in the AMX 3090 is just that versatile scout tank used to kind of fight his way around the map and make sure he spots out. But so far, really a slow start by DeNova. They're really unwilling to push forwards, and it does beg the question, if DeNova's end game is to really sit here, why would they pick the MX 3090? Why not pick an IS-3?
But would it give away the game early going for that IS-3? I think it's a, you know, if you had a 110, there's places outside the city it can do its damage. You've obviously got the T69s, certainly not made for just a city presence without much of a kind of angle to shoot up or down at. But you start picking IS-3s, I think Virtus.pro would not have gone for the start they did. I think they would have started to consider the fact that the city is truly a viable option. And then you get the counter picks, you get these kind of choices coming out in the changes. But, you know, the way DeNova have done it, I feel, is to play for the second game here, because maybe they were depending on Virtus.pro to push. Okay, fair enough, but would Virtus.pro really do that? Would they just walk into a setup trap? I don't think so. I think they're too calm, too collected, and I think they'll wait this one out and say, okay, if you want to be defensive, you want to play this game, you can play it, but next time around, we know what you're doing. Now, they may go to the same start, but they'll know exactly where DeNova are after that. They may even go for a bit of a city split. Last time, they didn't even put someone really down there. They put the 1390 around that E line, or around E or F, around that marker, if you're being really fussy. But the adaptation now that I want to be looking at towards Virtus.pro is interesting on the next map. It's the fact that now they know how DeNova wanted to play this one. Do they go straight for the city and assume that DeNova are going to play it the same again? Or Do they play it, you know, how do they kind of go about it in the next map? Are you going to hope your enemy doesn't overly compensate? Do you think your enemy's going to play the same to try and catch you out? What sort of bluff do you think is going to come from this one? Because right now I think the tier 1s are just going to be almost kind of suiciding in there to get an idea of where they actually were playing for the next map around. Unless there's a bit of a big push. No, it's not happening. They're already playing defensive. But so they've got the information as to where they are. How do you adapt to it the next map over?
Well, Virtus.pro, I think they'll do the same as they did this round, at least at the beginning, because then if there's a bluff from DeNova, they'll be prepared for it and they'll be able to deal with it. There's no point changing up your tactics for no reason. But to be fair, Virtus.pro, they need to perhaps change their lineup, maybe look for a heavier lineup and go into that city and try and deal with it that way. But I have no idea what DeNova is doing. They obviously have a very specific reason for doing what they're doing, but for me, there's no logical reason. Without actually going up to Ron and saying, what are you actually doing here? Why are you turtling in the corner? I wouldn't be able to answer. It's obviously very specific. It's obviously very team-based. It's obviously a consensus within that team. And it's, most importantly, it's obvious that it's a counter to whatever Virtus.pro do on a regular basis.
Yeah, and you can see Virtus.pro now retracting back. Losing those 2 tier 1s isn't a major factor to the points, obviously, but if they lose another tank, then it becomes an issue. Only 7 seconds remaining. There's not much to hide from. It will probably be drawn out here. I don't think I'm going to be guessing too hard to make that statement. But it is now a matter of the fact that Virtus.pro are well aware of where DeNova were, and the other side are not. DeNova do not know exactly where Virtus.pro are playing that.
But this could be a bluff. This could be, it could easily be a bluff. They know Virtus.pro will send the T1s in to find them in the last minute. So obviously they can't lose in the last minute, but they still send the T1s to get the information. So DeNova, the Virtus.pro is thinking right now, okay, so DeNova's going to do the same thing. So let's do X, Y, and Z. But DeNova now could do something completely different and completely counter what Virtus.pro do. This could be the cunning behind DeNova's plan. But it's a risky one because just based on what I know from Virtus.pro, having watched them through 3 seasons, having watched them in StarLadder, having played against them many times before, they are the model of consistency. They always do the same thing at the beginning. It's what they do after that that makes them a winning team.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what they can really come up with here. Certain discussions will be going between these guys towards how to adapt once they do get that kind of sweep towards the center. If they see, you know, obviously DeNova being there, then okay, game on, it's time to play. But it's where do we go after that? Where do we now start focusing towards? And it's a very cunning ploy from DeNova, maybe trying to rattle the cages of Virtus.pro. We're going to have to find out really in just a couple of moments' time. Now, you know, if you were Virtus.pro, how would you go about this? Let's say, okay, they start the game up. Now, they both, Virtus.pro heads towards the middle for the engagement. DeNova aren't there. Now, if you're Virtus.pro, where do you send your tanks from that point onwards?
I think they need to, as Vorsig was playing it properly, he had the MX-3090 in the middle so he could spot down there. You just need to cross off the sections on the map. So make sure, okay, they're nowhere in the green zone. They're nowhere down that F road. They're nowhere towards our base. They're not doing any cheesy tactic. No in A1 or K1. They're nowhere there. And then you think, okay, let's put some tanks in the city and start surrounding them. Let's put the AMX-3090 here, there, and make sure that we can actually get a proper circle on them. And then push in. Because this is what Virtus.pro did last time. I saw them play against such a similar tactic. They came around this actually against DeNova. DeNova played a very similar way. They're kind of positions are slightly changed. They managed to basically surround them and just take them down one by one. And DeNova could only deal with one flank at a time. And that flank obviously had less tanks than they had. But from the other flank, from behind, there's an equal amount of tanks. So basically they were surrounded. Your turret can only face in one direction, unfortunately. And they got themselves taken down. That's the face of Ronnie. He looks very serious. Obviously, also a cool guy, so he's not too worried. He's got a slight smirk on his face, and I think DeNova's pretty confident. Although they are 1-0 down, it's not much in a best of 5.
Certainly not. It's perfectly fine to start a small disadvantage like that, and it kind of encourages you a little bit into the next game. Obviously, I don't think any team would like to start that way, but sometimes you've got to kind of make the best of a bad situation, and that's certainly the way it's looking for these guys. You know, they're trying to find their way through here. DeNova looking very serious, as you mentioned. No, you know, Kaznakuru smiles on their faces. It's all very much focused on the game at hand. Many things to be discussed about how they're going to play this one now. No easy ways to kind of bring this through. So guys on Twitter, it's back up to you. Anyone out there who's got a phone, who's got a laptop, who's watching this now, I assume, even if you're in the venue, get on the phone and get tweeting. Tweet at They Call Me Pansy, at LaughterWOT with the hashtag WGLEU, and let me know who's going to win this map. Who's going to win Ruinberg? Will it be Virtus Pro? Will it be DeNova? And do you think they're going to go for the same strategy? If you really want to go into detail, also chuck that in there. It's always good hearing from you guys. Make sure that you do get involved out there, because we're pretty much sitting here on our own. We don't really get spoken to much at our desks. We just kind of get left to our own devices.
We're just unlocked from our cages, from the truck, taken into the venue, sat down, we talk a bit, and then we're put back into the cage afterwards, unfortunately. So we do need some social interaction just to keep us sane and within the human realm. So yeah, for me, it's poring over encyclopedias of World of Tanks and playing it. And for Lauren, it's a lot of alcohol and a lot of food.
Well, that's just uncalled for, isn't it? The cruelty of my co-caster never knows its limits, really, does he?
But in case you're wondering what is actually happening, which I guess you will be, we're just sorting out some problems with the teams, and also you might have noticed at the top there's no overlay saying the teams' names. That's going to be put in, obviously. This is a live event, so these issues obviously happen. But we are going to be underway into the second round of second game on Ruinberg Virtus Pro versus DeNova.
So not going to be repicking here, sticking with what they were using. That 110 still into the mix for DeNova. Let's see what's going down now. Virtus Pro team to adapt more than anything. It's seeing what they can really bring to the battle if they're ready now to face on. And what are DeNova going to do from the offset? Are they going to go for that straight up push across the middle? Are they going to go back to the city? They certainly have tanks to adapt to both. So guys, let's get ready. We're going to be going back into Ruinberg for the second time. But anyway, in the north, in that golden yellow, it's Virtus Pro, and in the south, in blue, it's DeNova. And tell me what they're doing so far.
So exactly what I said, Virtus Pro moving to the standard position, Delight going left, Breakneck, Just Cause is going to be going in the middle. I imagine Vorsic will be somewhere in the background, obviously depending on his spawns. So Virtus Pro doing the standard thing, T1 into the city, and DeNova doing the same thing they did last round, putting themselves from the G to the K line and hunkering down there a little bit. But Breakneck trying to get some shots off onto the side. Vorsic just joining the party up with Delight. But standard start from Virtus Pro. DeNova just getting themselves into the city there, over towards that G line and getting themselves set up. Remember, Virtus Pro do know what DeNova did last time. They know that they're over towards the city. So indeed, DeNova are not bluffing. They're going to be doing the exact same thing.
So now it's all down to Virtus Pro to just kind of clear the path for now. They don't want to be caught out. They haven't fully checked out the city, assuming that maybe DeNova hadn't pushed forwards. But you can see these guys are very quickly checking through that village. Nothing there to be found. No one being swatted out either. So that's the kind of very big indicator to these guys saying, okay, no worries there. So here we go. We do see Vorsic make his way down. And he was one of the original probing tanks there, joined by the two tier 1s, Kusok and Karitz. Last time they pushed down towards that JK area, and then he retracted back and allowed the tier 1s to push on their own. This time, he's certainly leading his way, and we do see some backup joining him now in the form of those T69s, that 5100 if they fancy it, but he's still in a defensive posture because they haven't cleared out the city fully yet. They don't know if DeNova may be going for that cheesy push.
Exactly, they need to make sure that that DeNova hasn't got something up their sleeve, but you know, that JK area can be a bit of a joke. Just depends if Karitz can get... Ah, that was a good one. I hope you got my JK joke, because JK is joke in acronyms. But anyway, Bishop's going to get himself on reload. It looks like Virtus Pro heading back towards their base, going to be doing what they did last time, making sure that DeNova is not going to be going for that cheesy push up towards the base. But DeNova, just the model is like they've just gone to that place, they've gone up from their seats and then gone to the restaurant, got something to eat, maybe got a cup of tea, and will be joining us later. But I can see them from here, and they're definitely not doing that. They've got their game faces on, and they are concentrating on what they need to be doing to beat Virtus Pro. Because if they lose this, it's best of 5, then they're going down to the small finals to play for 3rd place. And last time they did that, Cancer Crew did awfully well against them. Made them go down to 4th, so they definitely don't want to be there. They definitely don't want to have to get themselves back up again, get that spirits back up again to try and take 3rd place, which is nowhere near in terms of monetary gain and also pride as first or second.
Yeah, indeed. As you mentioned, prizes for this are not small by any means. First will be walking away with 50k in their pocket. Second, 21, and then 15 following that. So massive money on the line here. Hence why these guys are playing this way. When you've got this much money riding on the next couple of decisions, you cannot be making rushed choices. It has to be perfectly and cautiously thought out. So hopefully they can make sure they are making the right decisions here. Seeing Karitz just teasing around now, checking that city as we saw before. It's highly important these guys clear this out and make sure every nook and cranny is accounted for. And I love this little play that I saw last time I was watching. I think it was the NA finals, where they actually pushed someone into here and they got the perfect spots. I think you can actually get into that little section on the map, if I'm not mistaken. And they literally changed the entirety of the game there. One player just kind of suiciding into that area and then watching as the tanks roll past. But Karit's going for the safer option, just going to be sitting around the corner, trying to see if anyone's making a bit of a counterplay. Kusok pushing up as well. So it's all about that slow progression for these guys. They're not rushing things. They're not they're making sure they're not going to be the ones making the mistake. And 5 minutes and 50 left. Do you think we're going to see a push from Virtus.pro, or are they just going to let this one trickle out?
I'm pretty sure DeNova's just saying we're going to sit here until Virtus.pro pushes us. Doesn't matter how many times we have to sit here. We're just going to be quite happy to sit back and relax and make sure that Virtus.pro pushes into a disadvantageous position. But whether Virtus.pro is really going to make that sacrifice, unless they actually do find a way in, unless they got enough information in that previous round, is another question. And to be honest, I don't think they do. They will do, because how can you really push into a position which has been thought through as much as it probably has been for DeNova? Although Karitz is there in the background trying to spot some tanks out along the one line there. But obviously that T1 will only have about 290 meters of view range, depending on the crew skills and various things he's taken there. So I think DeNova definitely not looking the aggressive team. They're playing pretty much exactly the same as the Evil Panel Squad played yesterday, which is a dangerous thought, because the Evil Panel Squad losing 3-0 to the Lemming Train first, and then they really have struggled to get themselves in here. I can't see how DeNova can win against Virtus.pro with this kind of play style.
Yeah, we saw it being the downfall of Evil Panel Squad. As you said, they didn't... Did they even pick up a map?
No, they didn't pick up a
They literally did not win one single thing.
Didn't play a single good game.
And last time, you look at Season 2 finals, where they did extraordinarily well. They kind of shocked us all. They played aggressive, they played confident, they played, the game we know they could. And right now, hopefully, DeNova's confidence hasn't been broken so much they've kind of had to go back to this sort of very passive game. It's a worrying sight if they're already kind of using this as what they want to be doing to be winning with. Not a strategy I'd have certainly gone for, but maybe it's what they need. But you look at yesterday, they weren't playing badly. YR played very well. Phoenix, incredible. Well, I'd have said to this point, till I saw them playing like this, Phoenix would be the outstanding player with International, probably not too far behind. They played absolutely perfect tanks yesterday. They had a bit of a rocky start, but they certainly warmed up and they got back into the flow of things. Now it feels as though they've kind of stepped back into what they were doing, almost wrong not too long ago. So hopefully they can kind of rally themselves back into the next couple of maps, because at the moment this is going to be a very long day for us if they fancy playing like this all the way through. That's 3 minutes 24 still left out here, and Virtus.pro, they have no incentive to push here. There's nothing telling them.
There's no reason. They're 1-0 up.
Yeah, they have the advantage. If anything, it should be DeNova trying to get this one in the bag, at least trying to move. Maybe they've had keyboard issues and they've lost the W key. That's always a problem.
Yeah, that might be the issue, but you should just rebind it to something else. Use the normal arrow keys. It works fine.
Yeah, certainly. Another option, we might have to tell them that in the break. If your W key is broken, adjust accordingly. Obviously, this is something they've been thinking out here. They've been trying, making sure they are prepared for this. And I'm just kind of curious how this was the best option they came up with against Virtus.pro. It's almost like a non-victory here. This is not what you need to be doing in any way, shape or form. This is a worrying sight, really, and we are seeing Karitz getting a little bit edgy there in that tier 1, pushing forward down towards the D line, maybe looking for some options. He knows where these guys are. That's the thing. They are well aware of where they're playing. But as you said, you very rarely win a situation if the tank's already sat still waiting for you to come around the corner, if the opponents just come rolling in. So Karitz has to be careful. He's going to get down pretty quickly. FC Dynamo there picking that one up. No real surprise, but it's given a touch of information, but not a great deal really. But still, I don't see why Virtus.pro would push it. Even if they do get a couple more spots, I don't see it being a big enough factor for them to risk getting this all drawn up and then hoping they can pick up Ensk. They can just keep doing the same to DeNova. DeNova are the ones who have to pick this up and start taking it into their own hands, and there's no incentive for Virtus.pro to join into this.
Yeah, when Melly was talking to the guys in the crowd, they were saying, DeNova's playstyle is great. It's aggressive. It's passionate. They even said, I'm not seeing any of this today. I'm just seeing a subdued DeNova. Obviously, they have their reasons for it. Probably a good reason, but at the end of the day, the way they played yesterday, it worked. Okay, they struggled to find their feet against Krasnokru, but Lemming trained 3-0, a team that finished the season on 12-4, while DeNova finished on 9-7. Being a team like that is just, it's the next level. Lemming Train beat Virtus.pro in Go Force. They beat them they're the only team that's beat Team Dignitas and Virtus.pro. So all they need to do is play like they played yesterday, and they will take a win. But you can see, slowly but surely, Kusok moving forwards. Also the T1s of Ron and Winnie the Pooh actually heading up around as well. Winnie the Pooh getting immediately spotted out there. He might just get taken down, but it's Winnie the Pooh and Kusok.
Yeah, Kusok laying down some great fire there. It's like a railgun watching this guy. Just be careful. Ooh, he's getting taken low himself. He does get taken down by Winnie the Pooh, but I still don't think it's enough really to do much. Yeah, indeed, that's the only action we'll see this game now. And it's just Virtus.pro retracting back as soon as that tier 1 fell. As soon as they lost eyes across the map, they're just going to go retreat into a corner, turtle down themselves, and they have 27 seconds to stay alive. I think they can manage that, even though we do see a couple of tanks edging forward now. It's almost too little too late. DeNova will not be finding these guys in time, I can call that now. And that's pretty much all she wrote for this map.
Yeah, they're all retracting back and turtling down again, making sure that the last-ditch attempt from DeNova isn't a cap race, which is already out of the question since we've got 5 seconds left at the end of the game. But this is perhaps the slowest game of World Tanks I've ever seen in my life. I would put it in that top 10. Not sure why. That's what I'm really struggling with, because all the games so far of DeNova's have always been very fast-paced and quick. And this is not the style I'm used to for them. They've always been a very clever team, so anything they do will be based on brains as opposed to just balls and pushing in. But we will be moving on to the third round of this map on Ruhenberg as these teams just get underway and get themselves sorted out. Tank picking can begin again, but the same sides must be chosen.
Yeah, not sure what changes they'll be going for here, actually. That's the biggest surprise to me is they're actually going to Garage. Yeah, they will be changing tanks. So clearly Virtus.pro not happy with the way DeNova are playing. Maybe DeNova were wanting to force these guys to change up. Maybe that was their plan. Maybe they weren't happy with the standard lineup there. And I think we are still having a couple of technical issues. I'm seeing admins still appearing and running around, but hopefully there's nothing too major. It's just a matter of time until we get underway. So yeah, the tank picks have kind of started. They are mulling over the choices. And what sort of changes you might see coming out from Virtus.pro here?
I don't think we'll see any changes from Virtus.pro. Haven't changed that lineup in 2 seasons. I don't think they'll change it against DeNova. I think DeNova won't change it either, because obviously their lineup is built for that position they are in. So there's just no reason there. If Virtus.pro are probably the more likely of the two to change, though. They can pick something that's a little bit heavier to deal with that city presence of DeNova, but double AMX 3090 for both teams. Double T69, no, one AMX 3090 for DeNova, one T69, one AMX 3090 for Virtus.pro, one T69. So just the standard picks at the beginning. I imagine that will be the general case as we go through. But as we said before, this is the final, so they're going to be playing the same map over and over again until there is a winner. There's no moving on to the next map like we do in the playoff on the online stages. When we have best of 5, and whoever wins the most amount of times, doesn't matter if they win once more or if they win 5 times more, then they will go through.
Yeah, indeed. So they are making their picks now. See if there are any changes coming through. As you said, there might be some variation, but we're yet to see too much in the way of it. We haven't seen that 110 yet. But what else do we see coming through here?
So we're seeing a T69 and an AMX 5100 for both teams. So we're going to be picking out that French tank again and the T69. But standard stuff. No 110 yet, no IS3. But that was the second draw of this game. So we're having one more game at least on this map before we might end up changing up and moving up to the next map if they do decide to go for a draw here. So AMX 5100 last pick from Virtus Pro. As I think, is that AMX 5100? Yeah, the AMX 5100 is not a 110, so I think we'll see the same stuff as we saw last time, the AMX 5100 and the 110 been picked up for DeNova.
Yeah, interesting play coming from these guys, interesting choices. And as we said, we will be moving on to the next map afterwards anyway, so might be another draw. They might just want to be playing for the other game, might not really fancy their chances on this one. Maybe Ensk is better for DeNova. But I'm still really surprised that DeNova are playing so passively. It's clearly not helping them in this. It might just negate a map, but it just means we move on. Maybe they're thinking Rubenberg really was a bad choice, but then why would they let it go through the map picks? That's the more important question here is, if you really don't like a map like that, put it down to 5th, maybe even 4th, if you couldn't have ruled them out in the first 2 kind of options. It's not logical having this sort of play in this point. You know, maybe if you got to the 4th map and you're like, okay, we really aren't comfortable on this one, draw it out, let's go on to the next. Fine.
But this could have been DeNova's plan. Like at the end of the day, they could have been we're going to end up changing the map if they carry on drawing it, and they don't like Rubenberg, so we're just going to be able to skip map. But last pick from DeNova is the AMX 1390, making their lineup a little different since they haven't got the 110. So double AMX 1390, double T69, AMX 5100, double T1. Virtus Pro sticking with the old lineup they love. Double T69, double 5100. So they are changing something else. They got the 5100 instead of the AMX 1390. This is their second most picked lineup, and double T69, double T1.
Okay, so interesting choices. Now, do we think we're going to see a change in play this time? Do you think we're going to be seeing DeNova actually using their W key for more than the first 4 seconds?
They have to. This is do or die on Rubenberg. They have to. We'll be moving on to the next map, so they have to. One of these 2 teams has to win this one. You know, whichever is more confident on Rubenberg, it would be stupid if they don't go for the win, knowing that the other team is worse than them on this map, because there'll be the next map and the other team will be better on it, most likely. So I don't see the point of it, and Ensk will be after this. So, and we know how strong DeNova is on Ensk, possibly even the best team on Ensk. Struggle a little bit on Rubenberg, perhaps that's why they're doing that here, but certainly Ensk they can do a lot with.
Right, so it is time for the last chance saloon, or the last call for these guys to be coming through. We are seeing the fact that once again in the north it will be Virtus Pro, so they're not changing sides, nothing like that, will be adapting. And the overall very, very close to each other there. Not too many differences, but let's find out what's going through here, because as we said, in the north in the gold and yellow it will be Virtus Pro, in the south in blue it's going to be DeNova, and this time there's a difference.
So DeNova not going towards the city, instead opting for the standard lineup. Double AMX 1390 YR International going left, up towards the F-Road, T69's AMX 5100 heading up towards the village or heading up the F-Road. For Virtus Pro, you've got Breakneck, Bishop, and Just Cause all heading into the middle. Double T69 AMX 1390. So they could be in a little bit of trouble. Delight heading up the middle with a Vorsik, but it's going to be T69 AMX 1390 going in.
Yeah, Breakneck just managed to catch 1 shell. YR now in trouble. He struggled here last time. Massive shells coming through. Lovely play from Bishop there. He is now on reload, and the big boys can now come in from that hill, laying down the fire towards FC Dynamo. He's going fairly low. He's going to be eradicated there. And my word, this is not looking too good for DeNova. Maybe this is why they're taking their time, because they're being taken down by Vorsik one by one. This man is on a mission. He's not done just yet. Now looking for more possible victims. International looking weak. He's down to 163, does manage to fall, and now Phoenix running away with the tail between his legs. This is what happens when you mess with Virtus Pro. You get punished when you try and face him down.
Phoenix has only got 2 shells left, so he's not going to be able to take down all the tanks. Ron Winnie the Pooh still left in the T1s. Breakneck is a 2-shot. Just Cause is maybe a 1-shot. Vorsik certainly 1-shot, but some Bishop still sitting at about 80% HP in that T69, so he's definitely going to be able to take out. Vorsik's going big.
Ron is giving everything he can, and Vorsik did struggle a little there. Ron just really teasing him around, and you know, the tier 1s do generally get a little bit in trouble there, and Phoenix did go down a Bishop who has had a monster of a game. That man deserves a medal for the way he played that. And DeNova, that is what happens When you mess with Virtus Pro, you push them to their limits, you get pushed right back, and that was stunning play. And I really do want to make sure I see what Bishop got there, because he was absolutely on fire. Sitting quite low on the damage, 1.3k, but a T69 picking up 2 kills. Vorsic as well from that hill, hitting 1.2k, picking up 3. So brilliant play in the end. And, you know, DeNova, you can try and avoid that result all you want, but eventually you're going to have to face the fact that Virtus Pro looks so damn good right now.
I've honestly no idea why DeNova just did that. They went from playing very turtle down into just pushing straight in. They tried this yesterday and it failed miserably. And they tried it again today, and it failed miserably against a better team. It makes no sense. And they didn't. If they had drawn one game out and known Virtus Pro put 2 T69s, 1 AMX 3090 into the middle, then that would have been fair enough, because they would have been trying to get that information. But the fact that they pushed 2 MX 3090s into the middle, which is a do-or-die move, it's a gamble, which has not paid off before, against the double T9's AMX 3090 of Virtus Pro, which is the more logical tank choice, because it gets there with a reload while the AMX 3090 is still having to wait. And also from the north, you get there quicker into the middle than you do from the south. So it made absolutely no sense what DeNova just did.
It's kind of baffled me here, because DeNova are not a side that makes these mistakes normally. They're the ones who are very much hot on the heels of the top players, who can really cause those upsets. And, well, right now, they look like a very different team. They look defeated, and Virtus Pro look relaxed. They're just, you know, checking out Twitter like, yeah, got some new followers there. Just going to favourite that, saying I'm fantastic at this game. But, you know, it's all very good and well for Virtus Pro, because they haven't been even tested yet. You know, they haven't been pushed to their limits in any way, shape or form by the opposition.
They really haven't. It's been... Well, Himmelsdorf was a hard one, to be fair. DeNova played it really well. They just struggled once they had the advantage, which is the biggest problem. But the thing is... you know, DeNova just didn't show up into Rurenberg. I think they obviously saw that Virtus Pro maybe had the better spawn for them and the better tactics. So DeNova thought, we're just going to sit out in that corner because we know we can't win this one. But when you say already that we can't win this map, then you've already lost.
Yeah,
simple as that.
Mentally, you're out of the game.
It's every single competitive team in the world has the same problem. And I just can't think of why DeNova thought that, why they tried that. Against a team they've obviously prepared a lot against. Maybe they're just, I don't know.
It's so hard, isn't it?
It's hard to describe. I can't think of the reasons why.
Yeah, me neither. And I think it's completely reiterated by everyone in the audience and on Twitter. Every single tweet was very slow start. Looks like they're testing each other. Maybe they were to try and find out weaknesses, but they found none. And then following that, they drew that because they had killer tactics on this the other way around. I'm guessing. He's guessing at least and hoping that's the way, because, you know, you look back to like the maps, games like, you know, CS 1.6, for example. You know, if you knew you were going to kind of have an issue with your opponent, you might let go one of the rounds, draw it out, or let them have it on a pistol. So you'd sit back and just kind of use as much time as possible to discuss tactics going forward. That could have been why, but then they just kind of went and rushed into them, also negating the idea of that. And everyone seems to be on this kind of what the hell just happened idea, because they didn't use the time that they gathered. They didn't go and come out with something brilliant. As you said, it was kind of illogical the way they played that, so now they're in a real predicament. And the fact is, we will be going to the third map. There's going to be Ensk in just a moment's time. And, well, it's 2-0 up to Virtus Pro. This is not what people expected. Everyone kind of thought there would be a bit more of a close game here, and at the moment, DeNova have not shown up.
They need to really start getting themselves organised and together. They need to rally around their team captain, Ron. He needs to make sure that he's keeping his troops motivated, keeping the morale up, because in that camp over there, it must be looking pretty dire as the mic that is Virtus Pro continues on the warpath. But we are going to be moving on to our next map, which is the infamous Ensk. Now Himmelsdorf and Rurenberg be going to Virtus Pro in some convincing manner, although Himmelsdorf was a lot closer than we just saw on Rurenberg.
Yep.
Can Ensk, the map which I always tip DeNova to be very, very good on, to say the least, they're the ones who really started to innovate with that 110 on it. I think they can have a chance. I think this is where they need to get it back. They need to get one map back, get that momentum going forwards, break Virtus Pro's meta, and I think they can keep that rolling. But they need to win 3 maps in a row now. It's almost impossible.
Almost impossible from Oliver, but we want to know what you guys think at home now. Obviously, we are now 2 maps into this. We've seen Virtus Pro looking almost unbeatable the way they've been playing, no matter how much DeNova has tested them. So let's hand over to Melly to find out how you guys have been kind of thinking towards this one and what your sort of voting trends have been. If we can find that out, that'd be fantastic, because at the moment, if you voted DeNova, you might be double kind of checking that one and trying to switch over. So Melly, what have people been thinking at home about this matchup?
Thank you very much, Lauren. I think we witnessed a proper caster's curse from Oliver, but let's see if that actually comes true. I actually prepared something else, but I will quickly try to switch over to our vote, which is going on our Facebook page, facebook.com/WGLEU. No, there you go. Where you can vote for your favorite team in this very matchup. And I announced earlier that it was like 51% for Virtus Pro and 49% for DeNova, which is really close. So people at home weren't really sure how this match is going to end. But actually, we have 2-0 standing. So the next map could possibly be the last. And let's see if the results have changed. And Mighty Internet, what are you saying to our current... Oh, it's 67% for Virtus Pro. So people at home are really cheering for Virtus Pro. Virtus Pro, as I said, former champions of Season 2, have a strong fan base right behind their backs. And yeah, people, you still have time to vote for your team. Maybe give DeNova via a Facebook vote the last push they need to maybe turn this around and pull off a famous comeback. I don't know. I'm excited. I don't have a favorite. I'm not allowed to have a favorite anyways, but I don't have a favorite. I love both teams, and I really just want to see excited matches. And other than Mate, as it seems, because he says, we know this music video, right? I don't want to go into any deeper into this, but I really like this picture. And DeNova, this is for you guys, if you could manage to have a look on a screen here at the venue. But they're all like very focused and preparing for the next map. And we have some other tiny little viewer at home. A little pretty lady is watching the production with her dad, and this is really nice to see that actually children are watching with their parents, and that is nice. So both share kind of the same hobby. They're having a great time with their parents in front of the screen. That's all we want, right? That's all we want. So let's hope that the next map will be as exciting as all the other matches. And over to you guys. Have fun.
Thank you so much, Melly, and yes, we do hope for the next couple of games, if it gets that far, as are exciting as the last two. Once, DeNova decided to move, that is, at least. But obviously the next map is going to be Ernst, and I do believe the tank picks are already kind of done there, so we can almost jump into that straight away. But why don't you take us through what they've chosen to this point here?
Sure, so we got a double T1 from both teams. There's no point even saying that. Double AMX-5100, double I3, double AMX-5100 for DeNova. AMX-5100 I3 for Virtus Pro. Last pick from DeNova, that 110, as I was talking about, they like that tank on this map. And finally, Virtus Pro picking the I3. So final line for DeNova, triple 5100, I3 110, double T1. And for Virtus Pro, it's the triple I3, double AMX-5100, double T1. So interesting stuff that DeNova's gone back to their old style, picking that 110 up. They haven't done it this weekend, but obviously they need to play and pick the lineups to the next level against a team like Virtus Pro, especially where they are now.
Well, we are moments away from finding out. So guys at home, it is once again your time to get involved. As Melly said, get your votes through. Get tweeting to us at They Call Me Pansy, at LaughterWOT. We want to know if you think it's going to be a 3-0 stomp to Virtus Pro, or can DeNova bring this one back? So guys, let's get ready for that video towards Ensk.
Ensk is a simple map on the face of it, but requires the most skillful team play to play properly. Being such a small map at 600 by 600 meters, the areas of attack are confined to through the city, through the railroads, or through the green zone. The fearsome city side, often famed for its fierce firefights, the railroads and green zone areas are hard to play as they have many death alleys. The railroads provide little cover but good sniping locations. tanks can shoot over and navigate through the trains to ambush and weaken the opposition. When playing Ensk, always keep in mind that teams may try and rush for the cap and not go for the city brawl. Also, take tanks that can both deal a lot of damage and react quickly to situations.
So, welcome into what will be the third and possibly deciding map between these two. DeNova and Virtus.pro going head-to-head here on Ensk. Now, Virtus.pro are phenomenal at this map, but DeNova certainly have their strengths, knowing that this can be a real deciding factor. Let's see what they bring out. So, in the north, in blue, it will be DeNova with everything to do here. And in the south, it's going to be Virtus.pro in yellow with just one more map needed. Now, what are we seeing from the start here?
Well, DeNova pushing into the city, a couple of AMX IS3s and AMX 5100s, as well as that 110 pushing International, taking up that position in the hold down area with the houses. So what DeNova did yesterday from the south didn't work because they actually got beaten on Ensk by Kazna Cruz. Virtus.pro up in towards the city. Both AMX 5100s actually been spotted. I believe that's by the IS3 up in B1. He is hull down there, so he can do, obviously, AMX 51 up in B1. So he's got to be very careful that he doesn't get some shots connected onto him, but he's so far avoided damage. That's FC Dynamo there in the 5100. So Virtus.pro getting themselves together after they got their initial spot, now heading up in towards the second tier, into the second tier of buildings, and they can obviously push through once they've spotted around those corners and get themselves hull down and in protection in that square area.
Yeah, we'll see how they focus this one down now. Quite passive play from DeNova this time again. No real surprise considering how the last map went, but this time they are going to be forced to move here. Virtus.pro will happily bring the game if they have to. They are probing forward, just passing, teasing over that E-line now. Breakneck, Kusok looking forward. There's FC Dynamo Bad News waiting, however, so they don't want to be kind of going in hap-handedly, but they're certainly looking to bring this one into their favour quite soon. We are seeing a bit of a split here around on that sort of east side flank.
Yeah, we are. We're seeing Virtus.pro pushing into the city, slowly but surely getting their way in there. Kusok's trying to nudge his way into the battle. He does get spotted out by both Ron and also that 5100, just constantly proxy spotting. We got that 50-meter rule, but Kusok's not too bothered because there's no really any tanks to deal with him. And if there is a tank, he'll have the whole of his team behind him to back him up with those shots. But good stuff from Virtus.pro. They're always ready to go forwards. They're quite an aggressive team when you take them on the face of it. You can obviously see they are defensive at the same time because they're leaving one tank back in support. You cannot leave that position because if DeNova do go for a cheeky cap move or even go up that train line, it's going to be there to deal with it. Bishop does go down to International, so first frag going to DeNova. Bad News managing to absorb that check with the fantastic armor that is on the IS3.
Yeah, Breakneck there being the tank to just toy with him, but there we go, there's reply. Bad News finding Karitz, and Kusok dying to get involved. He's just trying to keep Bad News away as Delight and Breakneck rethinking things here, shuffling things up, maybe not liking their chances down that kind of head-to-head kind of funneled approach, maybe looking for a new way through, leaving a lot more leeway though for DeNova to make some movement now. Obviously just probing forward and backwards, that's what we like to see here. And I'm kind of curious to see where they take themselves.
Well, DeNova's trying to get some blind shots onto Virtus.pro. They are going to spot out Just Cause, so they have the perfect amount of information. They know exactly where Virtus.pro's doing, and I think International's actually got binocular telescopes. He's actually just playing it perfectly, getting the side shots on. He'll have about a 9-second reload. He might even be able to connect to Light on the way, and yes, he does. So two fantastic, stunning shots for an International as Virtus.pro head off towards the train side.
Yeah, and that was beautiful crosses on the shot there. Interesting stuff going through. We are seeing them rotate around. Nice aggressive split coming around. And these guys are looking like they're really now up for this. Going for the split, leaving two tanks back, two pushing around the side. This could really spell trouble for Virtus.pro. Finally, DeNova are waking up here. This is perfect play so far.
They've got the HP advantage. They've Delight got so much damage on him from that 110. Also, the AMX 5100 up there. It was International, fantastic. Also, Phoenix making the shots on the side. So they're sniping a prowess that's DeNova really coming to fruition because Kusok taking another big hit. And Virtus.pro's just ability to travel around the map very quickly is actually proving to be a weakness right now. Well, DeNova were in the positions to deal with them when they retreated. They knew Virtus.pro couldn't push into where they were in the camping position, but the tanks they had in the right place could snipe out Virtus Pro as they retreated and tried from a different angle. And now Virtus Pro are down about, let's say, 1,000 HP or more, 2,000 HP, which is going to be very, very good for DeNova in a firefight, because they are on 100% HP. They've got everyone alive. It's a perfect situation. All they need to do is just get tanks together, because DeNova are very spread out at the moment.
And look at Winnie the Pooh's play here. He is being so pivotal. He's keeping eyes on them even when they're not in the same kind of area. Kusok laying a couple of shells off, no real connections. Vorsic receives another chunk of damage. This is really worrying times. Phoenix is so close to getting involved. He's just chomping at the bit to come around this corner, because Virtus Pro look ready to be taken now. Phoenix International, bad news, all lining up. This could really be a troublesome sight. Bad news is the one almost heading around first, being the spearhead of the attack. Kusok still certainly within sight. And we are seeing Delight trying to kind of let off a couple of shells, wondering where he's getting spotted from. We've got a lovely little split coming through here.
Got a perfect split. One tank, that's YR from the left, from the southern place. That's the MX-600. He's the perfect tank to be there, and he's doing a fantastic job of distracting Delight, not taking any damage, no damage onto DeNova until International receives the first shot down to 1-1, 8-8. But slowly but surely, DeNova have their tanks up into the north. They're going to be able to push on, but they are spotted. I don't think Virtus Pro really know how much DeNova have here, and they're going to get the base capture underway.
Well, let's find out, because Virtus Pro now, it's all or nothing. YR does receive a shell that was coming from Delight, but now there's more to be worrying about than just YR. International, FC Dynamo, bad news, and Phoenix, huge players in yesterday's games, all slowly but surely edging in here. Breakneck popping up. Oh, lovely little exchange going drastically in favor to DeNova again. Delight is absolutely decimated, and my God, that is a perfect bit of play. And now here comes real trouble. FC Dynamo International looking for that breakthrough. Vorsic is damaged, and FC Dynamo is not going to mess around with that one. And there's the follow-up kill, double for Dynamo, and now they're looking to mop up the remains. Kusok and Breakneck are being swept aside, and Breakneck is the last man standing, and this is what we know DeNova could do, finally stepping up to the plate and showing exactly what they're made of, and this is a matter of time before Breakneck gets broken in half.
He's at 300 HP. Indeed, DeNova finally wake up to take their first map against Virtus Pro in the semi-finals. You can see the excitement on their face. They know they performed admirably. They know that they did that map perfectly. They played so well against Virtus Pro. They had absolutely no answer to them. They got that HP advantage. They had the positional advantage. And once they had them surrounded, it was game over. Virtus Pro could do nothing. They couldn't move. They didn't have the HP just to charge it and fight. They couldn't move on to YR. And DeNova had the capping pressure on. They had an extra dimension of pressure. And Virtus Pro, they need to go back to the drawing board on Ensk and think of what they need to do to beat DeNova on a map like that for the future. But that is why I say DeNova is the best team on that map, because when they play like that, they're unbeatable.
It's hard to deny them, and Phoenix got 2.3k damage in that game. International not far behind it with 2k, but look at his overall stats. Per game, hitting at least 1.196. That's absolutely huge. That's out of 85 battles well, pretty much present for the entire season. Certainly doing the damage. And I do want to kind of look back to, I think it was Abby. Was he the player to fall off the cliff? Was that player? I'm trying to think who it was who kind of rolled off backwards there.
Might have been.
It might have been Phoenix. I think the first time we saw it.
Probably just out of desperation as opposed to anything else. But yeah, Phoenix is a brilliant player. He was a substitute for Natus Vincere Navi, formerly known as Red Rush Team 1. One of the guys who was just there in case one of the players couldn't turn up. He actually moved out into DeNova and now doing so well that his potential has now been unlocked. And he's really performing admirably. Almost every single time DeNova wins, he's at the top of the damage board, always playing the AMX 5100 or the AMX 1390. So now we'll be moving on to our next map, which will be Prokhorovka, the fourth map. Before, if we do get there, moving on to Mines. Still, DeNova not out of the woods.
No, they're certainly not. They've got almost a kind of small slither of light, kind of teasing through those rather thick woods that are Virtus Pro at the moment, and the hill they're going to have to climb is absolutely huge. But Prokhorovka, we can kind of look towards what we might be able to expect on this map, because I certainly don't think it's a DeNova specialty, but Virtus Pro are very proficient here.
They're the most proficient team. When they had Las Vegas as an artillery player on this map in Season 1, 14 wins, 0 losses. They didn't do so well in Season 2 on it, but this is still one of their most favored maps. They need to be careful about DeNova's ability to use their light tanks. This is exactly what wins you the games on Prokhorovka. Also, their ingenious play. Remember against Lemming Train when you had that map when they went into the village. That engagement was so crucial for DeNova. But for them, they can be pretty confident because they have that experience. They have the real results on this map. And for DeNova, they've struggled. They have struggled. They've done 2 good rounds on Prokhorovka, even 1 good round on Prokhorovka. All the other ones have been a little bit questionable. So I think this is Virtus.pro's map pick. And that's why you see FC Dynamo on your screens right now looking a little worried.
Yeah, I would be too. If there was any map coming up, I'd probably not want it to be Prokhorovka because, as you mentioned, Virtus.pro are truly a side to be reckoned with, and we are getting the tank picks on the way. So let's look towards what you're seeing here and give me some speculation towards if you think there's going to be any sort of outlying tanks, maybe a little bit of a switch up from DeNova coming in, or if it's going to be your standard, usual picks here.
I'm not sure. I think the 416 maybe is going to be picked, double T1 at least for both teams. AMX 3090 T69 for Koritz, AMX 3090 ×2 for DeNova. But yeah, 416, perhaps Pershing almost certainly. And indeed, Koritz has just picked up that AMX 3090 and the Pershing for Virtus.pro. As it's now DeNova's turn to pick. They could be picking up a Pershing themselves, a 416 as well, and they pick it up on their map against Kazakru. That was Phoenix playing that tank. Pershing T69, so they're going to be picking up the Pershing as well, the tier 8 medium tank from the American tree.
Seems they're going for more of their safety play here. The 416 almost had Kazakru, but they really didn't want to risk it in that one almost. But this time, very much sticking to their guns and sticking to their more safety barrier. You know, you don't want to be trying out something that can work maybe against the likes of Virtus.pro, who truly are a formidable side, especially on this map. So, what other picks are we seeing coming through here?
Last pick from Virtus.pro is the AMX 3090. So their standard lineup, the one they usually play at least, the triple AMX 3090 T69 Pershing double T1. Very strong overall lineup. You have the continuous damage and the high penetration from the Pershing. You've got the penetrative ability of the MX 3090s. And of course, you have that burst and that hold down ability of the T69. So just generally a very strong, completely middle of the road, as we would expect from Virtus.pro lineup. But now DeNova really taking their time on their last pick. They want to try and find something to counter Virtus.pro, but they are going to be picking up another Pershing. So they probably were in between the 416 and the Pershing. They think, okay, so Virtus.pro, 3 MX 3090s, they can surround the 416 and they can use the weakness of the 416, the turret traverse, only -75 to +75 degrees, and just obliterate it, exactly like Kazakru did last time. So let's go for the Pershing, the more consistent damage. You've obviously got the T15 E2 M2 on that tank. It's such a good gun, 240 average damage. It pretty much hits all those criteria you really want to have in a gun, apart from the fact that it's obviously not an autoloader, which is why you would pick a T69, which they have done.
Well, the main factor here is still 2-1. DeNova, certainly, as you said, not out of the woods just yet. They have a glimmer of hope after a fantastic display on Ensk. After what we kind of really questioned on Ruhenberg, they clearly stepped up. They took whatever they had to heart, and they really kind of came out guns blazing. So this time around, they've got to do it once again. They really have to dig deep and show us exactly what they're made of. So guys, let's get ready for what could be, once again, the final map if DeNova don't pull it through Prokhorovka.
Prokhorovka, a large map at 1,000 by 1,000 meters which allows teams to stretch their legs and artillery to test their skills. There are 3 primary routes of attack: over the left tree road, the middle area and towards the town. The tree road is very open and flat but has a very large number of bushes and trees that provide good cover if you're not shooting. The middle area is where the initial engagements happen as teams gather as much information as they possibly can. Both teams are fairly symmetrical and only offer small hills and brushes as cover. The middle area is where the initial engagements happen as teams gather as much information as they possibly can. The railroad that splits the map has a large number of bushes running alongside it that provides good cover and the occasional route of attack in the village and hill area. Teams should look towards taking fast tanks and artillery as they complement each other on this expansive map.
So, welcome into the next map, Prokhorovka. As we said, a really strong Oh, the daunting map for anyone trying to challenge Virtus.pro on here. One of their best maps, in my opinion, at least. And they will be starting in the north in that gold and yellow. And in the south, it's going to be DeNova, currently with a glimmer of hope on their shoulder with one map. But they certainly need at least one more till they start feeling confident. What are we seeing so far here?
Virtus.pro going out the middle as per usual. Bishop onto the right side of the map. And the MX-3090s going into the middle. They're trying to get that initial bit of information. Are DeNova going towards the village, or they are going towards the left tree road? As what we've seen from Virtus.pro quite often is that they play the standard tactic at the beginning and then they adapt to whatever they find out in that first 2 minutes. Although quite a lot of tanks heading up that 1-2 line, that's an adaptation we've never seen before in this finals. No team really putting that much emphasis at the beginning. They usually want that middle area first, and then they can start thinking about the village. But DeNova doing what they did against Kaznakru, at least sitting in that village, looking towards that hill and using the T1 in the middle just to spot the surrounding area. Okay, doesn't have the view range really to spot over towards the tree side that far, but he will be able to spot out that tank there, some Bishop.
I do want to ask you a quick question on this one. Do you feel as though, you know, Kaznakru, the way they play this was very much village kind of orientated. They constantly used this area and denied DeNova the access towards it. Do you think that this is kind of DeNova going, actually, that was really good. We like the way that played out a little bit. Maybe we can add that to our repertoire here and kind of make it worthwhile? Because is that how they feel as though maybe they can challenge Virtus.pro, put them out of their comfort zone again?
Yeah, well, the problem with DeNova going into the village against Kaznakru is that they were starting from the north, which means you're in the lower ground and it takes longer than from the south. That's why we see teams, you know, splitting off to the left side and the right side depending on the spawns. First actual frag going to Virtus.pro, straight away finding out Ronnie. That's just caused in the AMX-3090, brilliant shot. But once again, this is Prokhorovka. We're seeing that polar opposite. You've got the right side towards the village, you've got the left side towards the tree road, and then you play it out from there. Bad news in that Pershing, getting some shots out between those rail carts, see if he can connect the first shell, indeed getting one to his face of his own. He's now down to 1-2-2-1. Yeah, so he's got to be a little bit careful. But the Pershing can take a shot like that because it has a little bit more HP, 1,440, compared to that T69, which only has 1,350.
Indeed, and now we do see, as you said, that almost standoff moment where this map becomes very, very polarized. You can almost draw down the 4-line, put a mirror there, and you almost see the kind of exact same thing. But we do see YR patrolling back up. We saw him doing beautifully here when he got to this position. If he does go up towards that railroad track and fire across, doesn't fancy it. Still taking their time, 7 minutes and 30 seconds in. There's no need to rush right now. They can just kind of take it slow, take it easy. And Bad News did receive a little bit of damage, but nothing to be, you know, too worried about. As you mentioned, a little bit more HP towards that tank that they went for. Now, YR is starting to kind of toy with the idea of challenging out some of these tanks, maybe peering over. But there's certainly going to be someone watching and so I'm keeping eyes on that. So what sort of options now did DeNova have to try and catch up Virtus.pro? Is it just about hitting those shots and hoping that they get enough damage to force a move? Or where can they really form some sort of attack here?
Well, they have a dilemma because they've only won in the finals from the north. They beat Lemming Train here with a fantastic push-up across, but they never won from the south, and they really don't seem to know what to do. They're taking a little bit of damage. Bad News has taken another one from, I believe that was Breakneck in the T69 down to 963. And you know, there is a big problem with Prokhorovka from the south, because how do you push out across an open field? If you're starting from the north, you can push out across because you've got that railroad to get in cover. And if you really need to push through the middle, you've got those houses almost immediately, and at least you have those rocks as stepping stones going across, as opposed to from the village, just driving straight across the field. You have, okay, you've got a couple of hills here and there, but really, you're going to be in a bad position if you try and engage. And if you just move up to those hills, well, what's the point? Well, why are you staying behind the hills? There's no reason for it. You might as well sit in the village, and that's what DeNova are doing.
Well, DeNova certainly not exactly unaccustomed to playing quite passively here. They do like to play quite slow, quite cautiously, as we saw on Ruinberg. Finally became into their own kind of skill set, showing exactly what they're made of on Ensk, where they really did start pushing the tempo, really drawing Virtus.pro into the traps that they set, into the ways they wanted to play it. And now they have to refine that form. As you said, not exactly easy from the start they had, but it's all about swings and roundabouts here. If they can kind of draw it back in a different way, maybe try and force the hand of Virtus.pro. But let's kind of put our eyes towards Virtus.pro. In their mind, would you be pushing this? Would you now be kind of playing more cautiously after Ensk? Because that's a bit of a awakening call, that's you kind of suddenly going, okay, maybe we don't have as much to play with here as we thought. We have seen Ron getting taken down there, so that's one T1 removed from this map, but still, where does your kind of thoughts lie towards Virtus.pro in this moment? Can they go for an attack, or is it that slow play?
Well, they just lost Kusok, so it makes it slightly harder for them to push forwards because they can't use an expendable tank, the T1, just to push across the field and perhaps spot something out for their damage-dealing tanks. International trying a couple of shots into the bushes. He might as well. He does actually connect the shell, I believe. Oh, no, he gets a shell connected onto him. Obviously, Virtus.pro, they can see the shots coming out, and all they need to do is aim their gun and make the blind shot. That's a skill you need to learn as a well-tanked professional player, and Virtus.pro really do fit that criteria. But now, Virtus.pro, as you were saying, I think they have the option of pushing out across to the south. That's really the only option they have. Yep. Going down through the south, going through the middle, and then trying to work their way in through the map. They've got the HP advantage, but Bad News takes another big shot there. He's down to 752. Breakneck really doing some damage, and we got slightly lucky there because it was extremely low damage roll from that tank.
Yeah, it was, and DeNova not finding a way through here. They're being chipped away at quite constantly. It's unrelenting almost from Virtus.pro. As soon as they peer over those train tracks, there's almost a shell coming towards you immediately. Koritz has been spotted out there. He's also caught a glimpse towards Bad News as well. So a little bit of an information exchange, as Virtus.pro might be considering their options now. Do we go for something here? Do we sit back? We lost Kusok, obviously, which is something that's going to be a big factor into this one. They don't want to be going in hap-handedly, losing out, because one more map to DeNova, and obviously DeNova start kind of edging back into this. But look at International peering down. Once they got that spot out towards Koritz, that could be a possible shot coming through. Doesn't want to risk giving away all the information, so backing away. They can keep tabs on it from afar. That tier 1 isn't too much of a threat right now. But towards the late of the game, it might start playing into it, and Koritz just keeping eyes on Bad News more than anything.
I'm trying to work out why this is so slow, because in previous finals, Season 1, Season 2, the online stage might be a little bit slower, but on the, not this though either, but on the offline events, it's always very quick. It's always fast paced. Head over to WT Pro League YouTube and have a look for yourself, or look through the replays on this, and it's always very quick. It's always very fast. But now we're starting to see some movement from Virtus.pro. Finally, Just Cause and Vorsic find themselves behind a hill. Maybe looking at International as a weakness of DeNova. But good to see that Virtus.pro are willing to push forward. As you can see, DeNova completely besotted by Koritz. He's got love hearts around him because International just wants his blood right now. And it might actually not be a good thing, as soon as he gets spotted, it'll be Vorsic and Koritz to do some serious damage to him. But Virtus.pro now slowly edging towards the south of the map, more looking towards the middle. Okay, we need to put the T69 and the Pershing behind those defilades, and we need to extend the AMX 3090s as fast as we can over, take down International 5 versus 4, use the HP and the firepower advantage just to move on and take out the rest of the tanks. But you've got to be careful of that hill, because it doesn't matter how many tanks you have, as long as there's one on the hill, they'll have the higher ground advantage and he will take you out.
Well, here we go. The move is slowly but surely edging towards DeNova. You can see Virtus.pro going for a bit of a 3-2 split, really. Interesting choices being made there. Bishop and Breakneck playing off. Is this the right choice?
It's the right choice. What's fantastic is that Bad News is just completely stuck. Where he was spotting out the whole of the southern field, but because Koritz is there, he's not spotting anything. And Just Cause and Vorsic going to head on 2 versus 1 now. DeNova starting having to adapt, sending tanks towards the southern village, but Virtus.pro are going to push in.
Here we go. This is Virtus.pro really dominating this game now. Just Cause and Vorsic teasing out over that cliff. It's International trying to hold them at bay, but the Bad News has found Koritz finally. And now International, oh, lovely shot coming in there. That is Delight finding Bad News, and that was just a very, very quick kill coming through. And we are seeing that little mid-peak coming out with Breakneck, Bishop, and Delight staring down towards Phoenix. Is International, who is in trouble, however. He's the one who's just left on his own. He can do very little here. And now we're seeing the retraction coming from Virtus.pro, because they did receive a hell of a lot of damage. Now Phoenix looking pretty dangerous here. Going to be cheesing over that hill, finding Breakneck for a shell. Will he be able to get any more, however? International still holding on. Just Caused very, very weak in this moment. And DeNova are not out of this, but there we have Vorsic coming in onto International. That could be a game changer, but FC Dynamo rearing his head over that hill. Phoenix going in, taking Bishop really down low. And Bishop does get taken down by FC Dynamo, but Phoenix gets tracked back up.
Here comes YR.
YR comes buzzing in. He's going to find Breakneck, takes him down. And now just Delight standing. Just Cause is nowhere to be found just yet, and this is a matter of time. Virtus.pro are in trouble. The plan they had has not paid off. We're waiting on those reloads, and they're seconds away. YR teasing round the dead corpse of his teammate as Delight gets rammed to pieces, taken down. and now Just Cause being the only man standing who can do any damage here. But I assure you, there's not much he can do. Even the crowd are behind these guys, and there we have it. Lovely played out game. DeNova, fantastically done in the last couple of seconds there, securing the game that they desperately needed to be tied up or even.
Look at Phoenix, top of the leaderboard once again, 1.7k damage. YR second, 1,400. SC Dynamo very close behind there, 1,322. St Bishop, a new player for Virtus Pro, doing pretty well there, 1.2k. But actually, although Virtus Pro made the first move, it was not perfect. What they should have done is push onto International just immediately. Just go, because once you've taken down International, then you can retreat over without being spotted. But the problem they had, Virtus Pro, they were like thinking, okay, if we keep our AMX 3090s on top of the hill, we can shoot International down, and we can shoot the tanks that push onto them. But if we send them over onto International, we won't have those AMX 3090s to support the guys that are pushing into the middle. But it didn't matter either way. You need to do one thing. You can't just split push into a situation where you're not winning both engagement, or at least one engagement. So just poor decision making from Virtus Pro. YR on your screen right there, old schooler from DeNova Gaming, now 2-all against Virtus Pro. This is really heating up in the semi-finals as we move into our last and final map to decide who goes into the finals, who will play either Lemming Train or Team Dignitas, which will be next on Mines.
Yeah, indeed, and I think we are going for a quick break, apparently, as Virtus Pro are leaving the desks. They're probably going for a quick team chat, maybe trying to sort something out, because obviously this is the deciding map now. We never thought we'd get to this point. We were sitting here on map number 2, we were sitting on Ensk as well, and we were like, this just doesn't look like DeNova. And now they've forced Virtus Pro to get up and talk things through because it's going wrong. Something is not working out. There are smiling faces already for DeNova there. They're looking happy just to bring this one back.
Screw you guys as they walk past.
Indeed, they've forced the top 2 team, arguably one of the best in World of Tanks, to go out, sit down and have a chat because something is not working. You're seeing Carmen there just checking out the opponents. He's just wandering around the studio.
Mitch is not used to the camera either, you can see that.
Mitch, not sure what's going on. We don't know what's really happening with Mitch. He's just a wild cannon, just walks around, just, doing what he likes. But still, fantastic stuff from DeNova.
Yep.
Really pushing Virtus Pro.
But don't you think we should catch up with some of the social media stuff as we wait for Virtus Pro to get themselves sorted?
Well, we can tell them how to go and get involved in the social media, I think is the best way to, because now we are tied up all even, which is the big factor, right?
Yeah, it's 2-all. Mines is a tricky one. I think I'd be really thinking about which team starts from the north, which team starts from the south, and is there any adaptation? So it looks like DeNova actually starting from the north on Mines. That's going to be a huge factor in the next round. We've seen every single time from the northern spawn, Mines, the team has won. So good stuff from them.
Biggest factor
in the whole entire world. Not such a big factor when there's artillery, but now there's none. It does play a huge role. So yeah, we're going to be taking a quick 5 as Virtus Pro slowly start to filter back in after a quick team chat. Probably more of a motivational speech than anything else.
Yep.
Get them morale up, get them fired up again, and maybe, just maybe, they'll be able to take down DeNova, who are now on a 2-0 winning streak. Very impressive stuff from them.
Can you imagine the confidence beside them now as well? These guys are now, really pumped up. DeNova are going to be sky high. That's absolutely amazing. So at the moment, the one thing I really do want to hear from you guys is your thoughts and how you feel this one is going. And we want to hear the thoughts of the players who are watching from the audience as well. So guys at home, before we pass over, do make sure you get your predictions through to us with the hashtag WGLEU for that final map, which will be Mines. But before we get there, let's pass over to Melly, who's got someone waiting beside her.
Thank you very much, Lauren. And let me say one thing, Twitter is going rad. Seriously, just tweets all over the place, and people were going mental about what is actually happening right here. I'm with Cobra Leone from Kazna Crew, who made it sadly not to the finals, as we see, but still here, still enjoying the matches with us, because this is some high-class World of Tanks gaming going on here, right?
Yeah, it's true. Well, Virtus Pro played good, but this last map they are maybe shooting a little bit less, less good, but I think on Mines they will win.
You think they will win on Mines? what makes you think that they will win on Mainz?
Well, Mainz is a specific map, you know. Some sides have a little bit advantages, and I think, if I'm correct, that Virtus.pro is on better side.
Okay, I see. So, what made Virtus.pro giving up the last map? What was the key aspect of them losing, handing it over to DeNova?
They tactical play good last map, but when it comes to the shooting out, they simply shoot bad, you know. They shoot bad targets and miss a lot, so they lose when they're reload, you know.
Okay, I see. Well, thank you very much, Cobra. And one last question. You said that Virtus.pro will advance to the grand finals. Do you think that they will take home the first place?
It will be tough finals, you know. Dignitas is a very good team, so I need first to see the map peak, you know, and sides, so I can make maybe they both have same chances.
So you think they will face Dignitas in the grand finals?
Yeah, that will be my opinion.
Okay, thank you very much for this quick interview. And you guys at home, you've heard it. It's now it's your time to get involved. Head over to our social media platforms on Facebook, on Twitter, and tell me your opinion. Vote in our vote. And, well, I don't know what to say. So I will just pass it over back to our casters, and let's see a great match.
Thank you so much, Melly, and what an incredible deciding game. We are moments away from getting into. The tank picking has begun. As we mentioned, it's going to be Mainz, and this game has truly turned the tournament on its head already. Who would have expected DeNova to come back out fighting like this? It's been such a turning point, such a confidence booster for them. They've been able to drag it through to a final map to decide how this one goes. Now, take me through the tank picks, because they are just about getting underway, and we've seen them being such a pivotal factor in this to this point, and especially who's been playing them. Phoenix and International being so incredible, so incredible in this tournament to this point. So interesting choices coming out, so I think we need to go and have a look at that, because we are already seeing a couple of curious picks.
So we're seeing double T1, everyone knows that. MX3090 T69 for both teams, everyone knows that as well. That's the standard pick. WZ132 T69 from DeNova again. So remember yesterday it was against, I believe, was it Kazna Crew? It was Kazna Crew. And they played that 132 and they ended up getting it set on fire by its own team.
Oh, yes,
it took a lot of damage. It took 700 damage from the fire. And it still won the game, so fair enough. Good pick out. Yeah. The good thing about that tank is it has just a normal reload. It's like 6-second reload. You can get on the hill very quickly, just as fast as an MX3090, but it does not have to wait 30 seconds, 33 seconds for the reload like the MX3090 does. So it can just continue doing damage whilst those tanks have reload.
This I find interesting. Virtus.pro picking it up.
They're doing exact counter. They looked at what DeNova did probably yesterday in the replays and saw, what do we need to do? Let's rely on our player skill. If it's better than DeNova, we'll end up winning this matchup. But WZ132 from Virtus.pro as well, alongside the T69. So far, so good. Both teams picking the same tanks as we do head into that final pick from these two teams. I believe, what do you think? T69 could be an MX3090 if they want the hill. Then you want to be picking up an extra MX3090, because that will mean two MX3090s, one WZ132, 3 tanks on the hill. If you take a T69, you will have 1 less tank on the hill, but then you can also support the tanks pushing up the hill a lot better, especially from the north.
Yeah, so many things to take into consideration, and that's not what I expected to come out there.
Another WZ13 from DeNova. Interesting stuff. Not something we've ever seen before. From Season 1 to Season 3, we've never seen WZ132 ×2. We've seen Pershing, we've seen the Centurion even from one SPB team. But that will be the last pick from DeNova. What can Virtus.pro come up with? I think they're going to go for something standard, maybe even a 50-100, just to out-damage DeNova. That WZ132 obviously has only 1,050 HP. Not very much armor. It's actually modeled on the Type, not the Type 59, Type 59. It's modeled on the Type 59. So very similar to that tank. Where the Type 59 was modeled on the T44, I do believe, or a variation of that, T54 even. So it kind of, you can see the transition as these tanks move through different nations, how they affect. Obviously, Type 59 is Chinese, the WZ132 is also Chinese. They are modeled on the Russian variations of those. So similar characteristics, fast, pretty well armored, high DPM. But Virtus.pro, in deep discussion, Kreitz is thinking, I can see him from here, he's actually speaking to his teammates. And what will I come up with to counter this very interesting DeNova pick?
And the terrifying factor here is the fact that DeNova will be starting in the north, which is statistically favored, but Virtus.pro is certainly a team who can kind of negate that with their talent, but you know, you already come up against a team with a very curious lineup, and then you throw into the mix the fact they got the better side. There's real worry now going through Virtus.pro's minds here. Why is that last pick? Obviously, a lot of options up there, as you mentioned, a lot of things they could go for, but it's going to have to be tailored towards DeNova now. They've seen that DeNova are getting warmed up, they are getting ready, and the feeling of being on the verge of taking down someone like Virtus.pro must be phenomenal for these guys. And let's just hope that little bit of a team chat outside really will start to be kind of doing the job here.
Certainly, as I can see, Kusok on my screen is usually white face has turned a bright shade of red. So much stress going through that team. Loser of this map will be going down to the small finals to play for third place, which is no consolation if you're looking at that first place, like Virtus.pro won in just a few months ago when they went to Gamescom and took it against Evil Panda Squad 4-1. But DeNova are all ready and waiting. The guy we're waiting for from Virtus.pro is Delight, usually the MX5100 player for their team. So I expect him to pick up that. Not sure about his AMX 3090 skills. We haven't got a Melka for Virtus.pro in his lineup. So that solid T69 player, used to be an AMX 3090 player, they haven't got, so he won't be picking that one up. So AMX 5100 is indeed going to be the pick from Delight for the last pick for Virtus.pro, as per predicted. So their lineup is a double AMX 3090, double T69, AMX 5100, double T1. And for DeNova, WZ132 ×2, double T69, AMX 3090, double T1.
So, ladies and gents, this is the situation here. We thought this was going to be a landslide. We thought Virtus.pro came to play and they were not walking away from it without a fight. But certainly neither were DeNova. In the last couple of maps, they have shown real class. Talent that was unbelievable, that took a little while to wake up on the first day, but now they are looking almost unstoppable. The way they just played on Prokhorovka, certainly stirring the audience up into a bit of a frenzy, and Ensk was something to be remembered as well. But can they repeat it on Mines? They have every single factor possibly in their favor if they can really put in that double WZ132 into place, which is such a curious pick on such a defining map. Risky choices being brought out here between these two. Obviously, you guys keep tweeting. We are obviously watching over that one. Make sure you use the hashtag WGLEU and tweet at They Call Me Pansy and at LaughterWT so we can actually check these out and see what your thoughts are, because it's such a contrasting picture so far that Virtus.pro just looked like the normal dominant team that they were at the start, looking untouchable almost. And, well, DeNova certainly flipped that table over and really did the damage. Now, with players like International and Phoenix just being on fire, it's hard to think they'll stop. It wasn't just the tactics that were really coming through. It was the fact they were just individually genius. And Virtus.pro acted scared on Prokhorovka. That's what, you know, really kind of, got my intentions, my interest towards them, because normally they're so focused, they don't have that kind of fear in their eyes, but this time, certainly something shook them up there. They couldn't quite get themselves to muster over and challenge the likes of International. And now DeNova on the verge of taking down one of the giants of World of Tanks, Virtus.pro. They are sitting there looking nervous, looking focused though. So matter of time now. Both teams almost ready to go here. So we are seconds away from finding out who's going to be walking away with the victory here, because Virtus.pro, they hadn't had time to warm up yesterday. They walked into this fairly cold, I'd say, to the venue. They were watching the games, obviously, but they didn't get to play. So maybe not used to the setup just yet, but they've had time to warm up now. Nothing they can do about that. But DeNova, they are certainly stepping up to the plate. So guys and girls, I'm not going to hold you back from this game anymore. Let's get that video rolling towards the final and deciding map, Mines.
Mines, the original and best World of Tanks 7-on-7 map famed for its incredible tactical opportunities. A small map being 800 by 800 meters. The map has 3 primary routes of attack: the left flank through the water, the middle area and the town side. The key position on this map is the middle area, as it provides great firing positions and areas of attack for the team that holds it. The middle area's primary entrance is the road passing through the middle of the map. It is essential that the teams take key areas around the hill, both of which are situated just below the hill, the north side and the south side. These locations can provide for some amusing tactics. The hill isn't the only means of attack on mines though. There's also a housing area towards the east side that has a fair few routes of attack and provides great cover for advancing tanks. The water area can be an option for teams, however the soft ground makes it very hard for tanks to traverse rapidly but leads straight to the opponent's base.
So, welcome to the 5th and final map. It's gonna be Mines, and in the north, in blue, it will be DeNova, and in the south, in that golden yellow, it's Virtus Pro, sitting tied all even. What are we seeing so far here?
DeNova going straight for the hill, double WZ132 are not wasting any time. That's International and Phoenix. They're going to get there first, but it's Vorsic and Just Cause. They're going on.
They are going straight into this. There's a head-to-head clash here. No one holding back. Phoenix laying down the fire. Vorsic and Just Cause coming off the worst from this one. They have to scamper away. Breakneck and Bishop slightly further back, taking a pounding. This is not good. First Pro. Oh my God, Guso going down. Vorsic is so damn low, but here we go. Finally, it's the action. Vorsic finding the reply onto Phoenix. We are seeing Just Cause and Vorsic now staring down International, taken down to 100 HP. He's been decimated. Virtus Pro are fighting back, ladies and gents. It's down to bad news. FC Dynamo and YR to do the damage, but is it enough?
It's 3 of them going in. Delight's in trouble.
But Delight finds one on the way up. Bishop is cleaning up house here, but now just down to 2. Bad news, and FC Dynamo have to do work. Vorsic coming charging in, focusing down towards FC Dynamo. He's the first target to be taken down. And my God, Virtus Pro may just be able to do this. Bad news on the verge of being destroyed here. We've got Bishop, we've got Breakneck, and Just Cause surrounding him and just merely picking at the carcass of DeNova here, as they've had every single hope ripped away from them. And it's a matter of time before he goes down. And there we have it, ladies and gents. Virtus Pro rising once again to get the victory in the bag and just throw DeNova back down to where they started.
Brilliant play from Virtus Pro, pushing all their tanks up onto the hill, putting absolutely every egg into that basket, and wow, did it pay off. The MX-3090s pushed straight onto the 2 WZ132s, so much damage done, and the thing is, DeNova had no response. They didn't have enough damage to push onto those T69s. They had the perfect positions to get the crossfire, but because Virtus Pro put everything on the hill and DeNova didn't get anything off the hill, they didn't get anything in that map, and it was just a landslide for Virtus Pro. What a game to come out with. What a win to come out with, and Virtus Pro showing why they are capable of innovation, why they are a creative team, why they are a great aggressive team, and why they won Season 2.
What a fantastic first game. That's what we have to bear in mind here, because we haven't even seen Dignitas yet, the current reigning champions of the league, who are just standing, waiting over there, staring us down, giving us a grin. They look happy with this, maybe thinking, okay, if Virtus Pro struggle with DeNova, maybe we've got a chance here to really put ourselves through. But these guys seem pretty happy with that victory, and I can't blame them at all, fighting very hard for this, being truly put through their paces by DeNova, who kind of toyed with the audience's hearts. They're almost taking down the giants. There's Virtus Pro just walking away after having the handshakes. Good spirits all around. I don't think there's any hard feelings. Maybe a little bit of disappointment over in the DeNova side, getting so close yet being kind of denied at that last hurdle. So certainly something to be keeping in the back of their minds. They really did take, Virtus Pro through their paces, but the guts and the kind of the confidence in your own talent to be able to push like they did, to challenge DeNova flat out after being questionably pushed on Ensk and on Prokhorovka, really take some resolve there, showing, as you mentioned, why they are this top 2 team, why they can be one of the best in the world, and when they certainly should be striking fear into the hearts of every other single team here and player here, showing what they're made of. So perfect stuff from them. Certainly going looking towards the next couple of games, looking over their mistakes. There were some made. We can't walk away with this and say there weren't, but it's obviously going to be a happy moment for these guys. They can sit back and watch the other games going on in just a moment, because, well, they can kind of breathe easy for a bit. But for the others, it's certainly time to get their work on and try and find out what really went wrong there.
There was a long list of errors from DeNova. It just continues. Why pick the ZOZ132? You could see Phoenix. There's a lot of errors, and I think for once, this whole tournament has always been about errors between the player skill and the tactics, but this time, Virtus.pro nailed the lineup. They had those autoloaders, they had the burst damage, and that's what you need in those short and tight knit engagements. So massive congratulations to them. They'll be facing off against the next team that wins between Lemming Train and, of course, Team Dignitas.
Yes, but before we get too kind of riled up about that one, we need to kind of take stock from the, kind of hear it from the horse's mouth itself. It is going to be with Mitch and one of the members of Virtus.pro to take us through exactly what happened on that final map, because I think we all want to hear it. So guys, let's pass over to the stage.
Well, I tell you what, I don't think I've ever seen such a polarity in play from the start to the finish of a map as we saw just then. Virtus.pro looking like they were challenged for that game, but that was a fantastic performance in that last map, especially. We'll talk about that, obviously. Bishop here joining me from Virtus.pro. You saw two WZ132s. What went through your mind as soon as you saw them?
We just thought that the only chance to win is to take the hill. So we just decided to take 4 tanks, go to the hill and just kill them all. That's it.
Now, we know Mines is a map where there's lots of things you can do, lots of strategies. Was it because you saw those Chinese tanks with potentially lower damage up front that you wanted to take the hill? You knew you could beat them head-to-head? Or is there another reason?
On this map, the central hill is very important. So who controls it, it's basically can win the game easily. So we just couldn't give them too much map control. So we decided to take heavier setup, AMX 50-100, and just out-damage them.
Well, thank you very much for joining me, Bishop. Congratulations. We look forward to seeing you in the final. So, of course, all is not lost for DeNova. They will move down to the small final to play it out for third place. And as we spoke to Bishop just before talking about the hill, it's been a strategy that's been time-honoured. If you think back to Leroy Jenkins, and definitely played out very nicely on that map. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back very, very soon with our next match. Surely to be just as exciting, if not more, than the last one. But don't go too far. We're going to go to a quick commercial break and we'll be back very shortly.
Where my life's alive and my pride should reside.
And we are back with the ever lovely Latina next to me. Thank you for staying with us, and I hope you enjoyed the little break. Get something to drink and got some food or snacks. What stuff you need when you watch such awesome games, right?
Yes, of course.
It's kind of exhausting watching those tense battles and just sitting here and staring at the screen. Most of the time I forget tweeting because they're so tense and so interesting. I'm just, what is happening, what is happening, what? And then you make the mistake of just turning your face for like 10 seconds away, look back to the screen, and half of the other team vanished.
Yeah, exactly. That's so exciting. And we have audience here which stayed with us throughout the yesterday and today. So this is really exciting. We're very grateful to everyone that came to the studio. And I hope they are having fun. We're going to have some fun stuff going on later on as well. But that's for our guys. The other thing we did right now was gathering votes for the finals.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier, right? So before we go to our audience votes, let's have a quick talk about your vote at home. So we also have a vote running on our Facebook page, facebook.com/WGLEU, as you might already know. But I will upload the next vote for the next match, which will be Team Dignitas versus Lemming Train in a few minutes. So stay tuned, open your browser and be ready to vote for your favorite team. So the people at home voted with a clear 71% for Virtus Pro, and they were right at the end. What does our audience say to that?
Well, right now we are voting for the final score, which is quite hard, but the prize is quite nice as well. They're gonna
what do they get?
The exciting Type 59 that we are asked about a lot in our Polish community. But of course, the event is in Poland, and what I supposed is that who did they vote for? What do you think? The most?
I have no idea.
Well, I thought it's going to be Lemming Train, but that's not true.
Why?
Well, the most votes was for Virtus Pro.
Oh, that's interesting.
Exactly.
So the Polish people are obviously not supporting their home team.
I think it's not really not supporting the home team, but I guess there's something going on. I know, it's very weird, right?
I think Wall of Tanks skips borders. They don't care about nationalities and countries and stuff like that. They only want to see good games and good matches happening with good players and good teams and good strategies. And I think they're just voting for the better team.
Actually, I have an idea. I think it might be the feeling that they want to feel the team welcome in our country. What do you say to that? That might be the reason.
That's a pretty good idea as well. So as you see, the Wall of Tanks community is just plain, kind, and full of nice people, right?
Exactly.
So thank you very much for your support at home. Sorry for interrupting you, my dear. But yes, I think the Type 59 is a pretty good tank. Could you say something to it?
Well,
what's its main benefit?
Well, a lot of players, first of all, it's very hard to get it. So it's kind of exclusive tank. So I guess this makes it very, very special.
That's true. Let me tell you something. I also had people at my university coming up to me, "Hey Melly, I saw you on stream. Could you get me the Type 59, please?" And I'm like, dude, I'm the wrong person to ask, but I might ask someone else, but I couldn't get my hands on it so far.
Well, to be honest, I have it personally, but, well, it's just...
Well, it's a tank, it's a nice tank, and it's nice to have, right? So people here in the audience, one of you will be the lucky winner of a Type 59, and I think there's another Type 59 Twitter challenge going on. Not from our side, but from wargaming_esports.
Yes, I guess.
Yes, yeah. Just head over to Twitter, check out the hashtag WGLEU, and you will be smarter than us both, I guess. But no, there's definitely another challenge where you can get that very tank. So checking out our social media channels is really a smart idea, I think.
Yes, I definitely recommend this. We're also trying to engage on Facebook and Twitter. this is a really cool way to communicate with you guys when we cannot or you cannot join here. Then it's really nice to follow up with this.
Exactly. We're really sad for every single person that can't be here because we're having a great time. And I think we will be back after a short break with the next matchup, which will be Team Dignitas versus the one and only Lemming Train. So don't go anywhere. It won't be too long. Just do something like, I don't know, I'll always recommend stupid stuff like doing laundry and then 5 people in chats type something, oh damn, I forgot to put out my washings in the washing machine. So I think, let's say, clean the oven, right?
Okay.
The stuff like that has to be done, right? So see you later.
See ya.